You think love shows up with flowers and a joke only you would get. You think love grows from inside jokes, late walks, and a playlist you build together. Here, love arrives with mirrors. Not glass. Actions. Words. Taste. Every choice you make appears again across from you. Same color. Same meal. Same song. Same opinion said in your voice. It feels sweet at first. Easy. Weightless. A match with no edges. Then each echo lands too fast. Answers arrive before questions finish. Preferences lock in before you share them out loud. Your world starts to sound like a room with no soft surfaces. Every word bounces back. Control does not always yell. Control smiles. Control agrees. Control keeps pace with your steps and never trips. You tell a story. The same story returns with your pauses, your punchline, your moral. You open a door. Someone already stood there, wearing your shade, using your phrases, serving your cravings. You look closer. You see a map. Your habits. Your routes. Your weak spots. The mirror is not flattery. The mirror is a net. You will hear big promises. You will see gifts. You will feel relief when choices shrink, since two people move as one. Harmony sells itself. Harmony also hides pressure. Pressure to bend your calendar. Pressure to drift from friends who raise questions. Pressure to keep the bubble intact. The copy grows tighter. The space to breathe shrinks. You wonder when you last picked anything for yourself. You start to test. A fake favorite. A planted detail. The echo returns on cue. Denial follows. Tears follow. Silence follows. Visits follow. This is a story about a slow lock. Keys look like kindness. Keys feel warm in your hand. Keys also turn from the outside. If you sense the copy at your shoulder, listen hard. Keep records. Name the pattern. Tell one friend who knows your baseline. You are not difficult. You are not ungrateful. You are not overthinking. You see what you see. You hear what you hear. Love is choice. Choice needs air. Obsession hates air. So if you think you've heard it all, you haven't. Hit follow on your favorite platform and leave a comment. The next story might change your mind. Don't miss a single turn. Court lights throw a pale wash over cracked paint and steel rims. My building sits 1 block north. The twin complex faces ours across a shared courtyard. Windows stacked like a grid. I run point on weeknights. Same group most nights. 2 teachers. A delivery driver who shoots from the corner. A nurse who plays tough defense and never fouls. We break a sweat, swap lines, and keep score with fingers in the air. A new guy watches from the fence during the first run. Medium height. Lean. Calm eyes. When a regular bows out, he steps in without a word. He stays in front of me on the first play. Fast feet. No reach. Hands up clean. I swing the ball right, cut left, get it back, then float a short shot over the help. It drops. He laughs. Not loud. Honest. I feel my own smile before I think about it. We run 3 games. He passes more than he shoots. He tracks space. He calls picks clear. He never chirps. Game point on the last one comes off a drive where he eats contact, drops a bounce pass, and our big lays it in. We tap hands and breathe. A breeze moves across the court and catches my shirt. The chain on the rim clinks once then settles. Water bottles come out. The group peels off in pairs. I nod to the fence. He falls in beside me as we head toward the buildings. Name exchange on the corner. He says mine once then again, slower, like a refrain. He gives me his. It fits him. No fluff. We cross at the light. A bus groans past and leaves diesel in the air. City sound wraps around us. Traffic low. A sax from a window 2 blocks over leans on a slow scale. We hit the corner store. He holds the door. I grab sparkling water and a bag of nuts. He grabs the same 2 items. I laugh and point to the shelf. He shrugs. Says the same choices sit on his counter most nights. He adds a lime at the register. I add a lime. We both grin at the sink. We talk as we walk. Work hours line up. He lifts at the same gym, late after crowds clear. He runs the river path on weekends. I do too. We swap notes on music. He names an old album that lives high on my list. He says he listens start to finish. No skips. I nod. Same. He says the hook on track 3 plays in his head during hard runs. I say the same line gets me upstairs. He raises both hands and laughs. It's wild how we line up on everything. I feel warmth in my face. I shake my head and smile. We move past the bus stop and under a streetlight that hums. He asks where I stay. I point to my building. He points to the twin across the way. Our entries face each other over the courtyard path and a patch of shrubs that always look newly trimmed. We step through the front door of my building. Cool lobby air with that faint cleaner smell you notice only at night. Art prints hang in a neat line. He glances, not long, more like he takes in a room fast by habit. Elevator opens. We step in. He presses my floor, then rests his hands at his sides. No lean. No crowd. He holds his water with both hands while the car ticks up. We reach my floor. I lead into the hall. A soft hum runs under the carpet from units in use. I stop at my door and pull the key fob from my wrist loop. He nods at it, says he uses the same loop. I lift it and look. Black band. Metal ring. Common. Still, the line lands and sits in my mind for a second. I unlock and push the door open a few inches. I keep my body in the frame. He stops a step back and keeps his feet planted, shoulders open, palms visible. He says good game. He says good night. He says sleep well. His tone stays low and easy. He glances past me once. Not a stare. A smooth sweep across furniture and wall. My place holds order. Books shelved by color. A soft chair near the window. A neat table with a small vase. I picked it at a flea market 3 weeks ago, snapped a photo near the window, and posted it. Now it sits with green stems and clean water, a simple line of glass and light. He points with his chin toward the framed print on the far wall. He says he likes that clean line and negative space. He says a piece in his place pulls from the same school. He does not say a name. I nod. I say thank you. I say good night. He takes 2 steps back. He lifts a hand. He turns for the elevator. I close the door. Lock clicks. I set water on the table and slip off my shoes. I look around the room like I need to see it through fresh eyes. I tell myself I like how he read the space without pushing in. I tell myself interior fans do this all the time. I tell myself 2 buildings share people, and people share taste. I feel a soft hum in my chest. My throat releases the last tension from the run. I put a pot on for tea. Phone buzzes. Unknown number. Short line. Nice game. Sleep well. I pause. Then memory of a pen on the sideline hits. I wrote my number on his wrist after the second game when we joked about subs for next week. The move felt easy in the moment. No hesitation. I send a thumbs up emoji. I add, see you out there. I place the phone face down. Steam lifts from the pot. I pour. I sit. The window shows the courtyard and the twin building across. A light flips on in one unit 2 floors down from his likely floor. A person crosses a room. Could be anyone. I pull the blind 2 inches, no more. I let the tea cool, take small sips, then rise and place the cup in the sink. I shower, dress in a soft shirt, and set my gym shoes on the mat to dry. I flick off lights in a path from kitchen to hall to bedroom. The city hum flows in from a small gap where the window never seals tight. I lie down and slide an arm under the pillow. Sleep comes easy. Morning pulls me up with light on my face. I move through a small routine. Stretch. 10 push-ups. Coffee. A banana. I reset the chair by the window and check the vase. Water sits at the halfway mark. I trim the stems and top it off. I open my messages. Friends in the group chat toss jokes about missed shots and late calls. One asks for the new guy's name. I type it out. My friend with the sharp eye sends back an emoji with one brow up. She says he passed like he knew all our moves by heart. I say he reads space. She says keep your guard up. Then a heart. I send a heart back. I head to work. A short walk to the train. A longer ride down the line. I pull a cap low and watch station names roll by. I think about small pieces from last night. The court flow. The clean pass he made off contact. The way he surfaced same albums and same takeout spots. Matches happen. Taste overlaps. City life stacks people with shared habits on top of each other. I let the thought drift. Work eats hours. Meetings end. I step out into late sun. I take the river path. Legs feel fresh, so I extend the loop. A text pops up from him during the cool down. He asks about a new noodle spot 3 blocks from my building. He says he goes late when the line thins. I say sure, maybe tomorrow. I add a smile. He replies with a thumbs up and a time that lines up with my usual late dinner window. I do not pause over that detail. I pocket the phone and head home. Courtyard air carries cut grass. Evening windows throw warm squares onto shrubs and path. I climb the stairs to my floor. A folded note sits on my doormat. Simple copy paper. No envelope. For words. Thanks for last night. No name. I hold it between two fingers and stand still for a beat. Anyone in the group could drop a note. People say thanks in small ways. I tuck it into my pocket and step inside. I lock the door and set my bag by the hook. I lean on the door with my shoulder. My place looks the same as always. Yet a small charge runs through the room. As if fresh eyes move through my things, and left awake I can feel. I push off the door and breathe. I toss the note on the counter and wash my hands. I chop garlic and onion, toss both in a pan with oil, add noodles, swirl sauce, plate, and eat at the small table with the window cracked. My shoulders loosen. Food sits right. The note fades in my head. My phone buzzes. He sends a photo from his window. View looks across the courtyard from a higher floor in the twin building. His caption reads, "Nice light over your side right now." I look up. The sun hits the brick on my building with a golden edge, then cools. I send back a photo of sky gone pink. He sends a short line. "Run tomorrow. Same time." I reply with a yes. I rinse the plate and slide it into the rack. I wipe the counter. I refill the vase. I put on soft music. Volume low. I sink into the chair by the window and open a book. A new message slides in. He says he keeps a similar chair in the same position. He says it helps him watch the light shift across rooms. I look at my chair. I look at the window. A small smile, then a small frown. The line sits in my head in a new way now. He could guess a chair near a window. Many people do this. Still, something about how he phrased it presses into me. I keep reading until the words blur. I sleep early. Day 2 brings rain. I run under a hood, city lights smeared by wet glass. He texts a joke about slick courts. He says he lifts late when courts sit empty. I say same. He asks my lift split. I send it. He sends his. It matches mine in order and rest windows. I type cool. He replies alignment. That word sits on the screen like a weight. I pocket the phone and push through a last set of stairs. Later, I stop for groceries. I take a small basket and move aisle by aisle. Apples, greens, eggs, rice, cans for the pantry. He pushes a cart around the end cap as I step into the spice aisle. We laugh at the sight. He points to the same rice on my list and holds up a bag. I hold up mine. We mirror again, clean as a card trick. He says he likes a certain chili. I nod. Love it. He drops 2 jars into his cart. I drop one into my basket. The old album he named Last Night plays overhead. We both look up at the same second and say the same line in the hook. We both laugh, a little louder this time. A clerk looks over and smiles. We pay, exit under a small awning, and walk back along the wet block. He takes my bags for a half block, then hands them back with a short nod. We reach my door. He stops where he stopped last night. I feel ease in how he respects space. I also feel a small pull in my chest, an impulse to ask him in. I ignore it. I need a shower and quiet. I say goodnight. He says see you soon. He lifts his hand and heads for his entry across the courtyard. I enter and set groceries on the counter. I put things away by habit, each item in its spot. I click on the small lamp near the chair. Warm light pools on the floor and up the wall. I check my phone. He sent a song link. The same old album, track 3. He writes 3 words. For the stairs. I press play at low volume and let it run out. I tell myself he sent it because we both quoted the same line. I tell myself he wants to share a mood. I tell myself the sink still sits in normal range. I step into the shower and let hot water work my shoulders. Steam fogs the glass. My mind wanders. I see his eyes scan my room in one sweep. I hear his laugh hit at the same beat as mine. I see his finger touch the same jar of chili and drop it into the cart. I think about taste. I think about how people bond fast when they feel seen. I also think about timing. Some responses land a half second before I finish a thought. He lifts an example before I offer one. He hits a note in a story before I get to it. Small, easy to miss, yet present. I step out. I dry off. I dress in a shirt and soft pants and slide my phone into a pocket. A new message waits. He sends a photo of a small table in his place. Clean top. A thin vase with one stem. A framed print behind it with a bold line. He writes, same vibe. My stomach tightens for a breath, then releases. I type looks good. He replies with a heart. Night settles. I sit with tea and try to mark where the sense of ease meets the sense of close tracking. I do not write a list. Not yet. I hold it all in my head like I hold a tune. Notes repeat. Phrases repeat. My eye moves over the room. My chair. My print. The vase. Light on the floor. Everything sits where it should sit. I feel safe. I feel watched in a light way, not heavy, more like a hand on my shoulder from 2 steps back. Morning again. I wake before my alarm. I run, short loop this time. I pass the river and watch a rower cut a line upstream. Breath steady. Mind clear. On the way back, I pass a coffee spot near the train. He stands near the door with a cup in each hand. He sees me and smiles. He offers 1 cup. He names my regular order. I blink. He says he guessed. He says I look like a person who prefers simple and strong. I accept the cup and take a sip. It matches my taste. I ask how he knew. He laughs and says I walked past this place 3 times last week and never went in, so he guessed I prefer home coffee. I never posted that habit. He says he notices patterns in routes. He says it helps him plan his day. We walk 2 blocks together, then split at the corner. He gives a small salute with the cup and heads toward his entry. I turn home and drink. Heat spreads through my chest. I climb the stairs and set the empty cup in the sink. I place both hands on the counter and stare at nothing for a long breath. People notice patterns. Runners do it. Teachers do it. Nurses do it. He does it. I speak this line out loud in the quiet kitchen, as if voice will place the thought in a clean box. At night, the court fills again. We play 2 games. He slips into our rotations like he built them. He reads screens and slips through gaps. He says my name during switches, so I do not collide with our big. He nods when a pass drops on time. After the second game, we sit on the sideline for a minute. He asks if I want to walk. I say yes. We talk about nothing big. We share small stories about old apartments and cheap furniture and how to stretch rent. He says he got rid of anything heavy. He likes to change rooms fast. I say I move things until the space feels right. He says he does the same. We look at each other for a second and laugh. We pass the corner store. He says he needs nothing tonight. I say me neither. We cross the courtyard. Shrubs hold drops from afternoon rain. He stops at my door. Same distance as last time. Same hands visible. He looks over my shoulder for 1 second. The frame holds. My heart rate lifts half a notch, then settles. Good night. Good night. He moves away. Inside, I leave the lights off and stand near the window. Across the way, a light turns on 2 floors up from where I think his unit sits. A figure crosses the room. A chair slides. A vase sits on a table in silhouette. Thin stem. Simple glass. The line of the print behind it reads like a shadow of mine. I pull the blinds most of the way and leave a narrow gap. I breathe in through my nose and out slow through my mouth. My phone buzzes once more. He writes, "Sleep well." I type, "You too." I set the phone down and let my shoulders drop. I stand at the sink with warm water running over my hands until the finger pads wrinkle. I tell myself to keep pace with my own steps. I tell myself to leave room for light and air. I remind myself to hold my own taste steady. Then I dry my hands and turn off the faucet. We pick a night for takeout and a movie. Simple plan. Short walk. No big spend. My place stays tidy. A clean couch. 2 pillows. Low lamp glow. I sweep once and set plates on the table. He texts at the door. I buzz him in. He steps inside with hands full. Noodles. Soup. A small box with sides. I point to the table. He unloads and lines up each container in the order I prefer. Noodles left. Soup middle. Sides to the right. I never said this out loud. I say thanks. He smiles and shrugs. We sort out the movie. I read 3 blurbs. He lets me speak first. I point to a quiet thriller. He says he had the same one queued. He gives a small laugh. He tilts his head, eyes on me, then on the screen. For a second he does not speak. A pause floats there, steady and light. He nods and says yes, same taste, easy pick. We eat at the couch. He takes the same sauce mix I mix. 2 spoonfuls of chili. A short pour of soy. A finger swirl in the bowl. I look down at both bowls. Twins. I try to keep my face smooth. He does not look away from the screen. The plot moves slow. Dark rooms. Footsteps in halls. A number on a door seen through rain. I make a small sound when a door opens to a room full of mirrors. He makes the same sound half a beat later. He turns toward me and smiles. Our knees touch. Warm and still. The movie ends. Credits roll. He asks my favorite moment. I say the hallway shot with the soft hum. He says the same. He talks about why. He uses two of my words from 5 minutes before. I blink. Words do that. Echo inside a room with two people. I tell myself to keep calm. I thank him for dinner and stand to clear plates. He helps without asking. He stacks bowls in the sink. He aligns chopsticks by length. I face the counter for a breath. We pick a second night 2 days later. A short walk and then a grocery run. I grab a basket. He takes a cart. We move through produce. I reach for apples. He reaches for the same pile. He rotates one at the same angle I use to check bruise spots. He looks at me and grins. I grin back. We talk about small meals we love when time runs short. He lists 3. Each sits in my weekly loop. He asks how I cook rice. I explain my method with a tight ratio and a rest under a towel. He nods along, eyes soft and bright. He repeats each step back in the same order. Words line up like he read from a card. I feel a minor static in my chest. I breathe out slow and place a bag of rice in the basket. Spice aisle. I stop at a lower shelf and check a jar of cumin. He picks up the same jar. He holds it in his palm. He inhales with eyes closed, a small smile. I do not smell spice in a store. I use habit and trust the seal. He sets the jar down at the same second I do. Our hands almost touch. He pulls back and laughs. He says this looks like one mind split in 2 bodies. I smile and nod. I speak no reply. We roll past dairy. He names a yogurt that lives in my fridge. I pick my usual. He picks the same. He pauses for a second before dropping it into his cart. A thin hitch. I add eggs and glance at his face. His eyes rest on my list on my phone screen. He looks away when I look up. We pay and step into low rain. He takes my bag without asking. He carries it for half a block, then hands it back. He says he does not want to mess up my rhythm. I tell him it helps anyway. We reach my building. He stops at the same spot near my door. He lifts a hand. No move across the threshold. I like this. Clear space. No push. He heads for the twin entry. I watch his back for a short beat and then step inside. I put food away. My phone lights up with a text from a close friend. The one with the quick read on people. She asks how the night went. I type a careful reply. Smooth. Easy. A lot in sync. She replies with one line. This feels staged. I let the phone rest on the counter. I run water over my hands until heat fades to warm. I send back a small shrug emoji. She sends a heart. I send one back. Third night lands on a Saturday with light in the sky past 9. He suggests a walk through the weekend market, then a simple meal at my place. I say yes. We wander stalls and look at flowers. People hold bundles of herbs under arms. Kids chase each other between tables. He keeps pace with me. He stops when I stop. He laughs at the same vendor lines. He buys a small bunch of mint and hands it to me like a small gift. Mint works in water. I thank him and tuck it into my tote. Back at my place, he chops onions for me. He holds the knife like someone who cooks. He asks how fine I want the dice. I show size with finger and thumb. He nails it. No tears. No mess. He washes the board without a word. He dries the knife and puts it back where he found it. I did not say where it lives. He watched me reach for it. We sit on the couch with bowls in our laps. He picks the left side where I sit each night. He tucks a pillow behind his back in the same place I use. He nudges his toes under the same throw I use when nights run cold. I fold my legs under me and take a bite. Good salt. Good heat. He nods at the same second I nod. He says, I like what you like. Voice low. A soft line. No wink. No joke. My throat tightens then relaxes. I smile and set the bowl on the table. I tell him it feels easy when 2 people line up. He agrees. He touches my knee and lets his hand rest there for 1 second. Heat moves up my thigh and slips into my belly. Then he pulls back and stares at the screen. Quiet fills the room. We talk through the rest of the night. Small stories only. A neighbor who sings at odd hours. A burnout bulb in the hallway that took a week to fix. He starts one story and stops. His eyes shift down and left for a quick beat before he picks a word. He does this twice more. A micro pause before answers. A glance like someone reads a prompt off glass. I note it and say nothing. Near midnight, he leaves me at my door. He gives a quick hug with no push. His hand stays on my shoulder 1 extra beat. Then he steps away. I shower and put on a soft shirt. I sit by the window and look across the courtyard. One light glows high in the twin. A shape moves across a room and vanishes. I sip water and let stillness return. The next week runs smooth. Work. Runs on the path. Late hoops. A call with my mom. A photo from a friend on a beach far away. He texts every day. Not heavy. Small lines. A joke about a busker with a broken guitar string. A photo of a dog on the river trail that hangs from its owner's backpack like a baby. A line about lightning over the bridge. I reply once or twice. I keep it short. We set a weeknight dinner at my place. He offers to bring a salad. He arrives with greens in a bowl. He throws in the same mix I make. A squeeze of lemon. A drizzle of oil. A pinch of salt with fingers high above the bowl. He does the final toss with one hand on the rim and one with the fork. I feel air in my chest turn thin for half a breath. Then it passes. We eat and talk about old jobs. He names 3. I ask about each. Stories feel sharp and clean. No extra details. Almost like a line cut for radio. He shifts tone at the right moments. He uses a phrase I used 2 nights earlier in a different context. I let it slide. Words drift between 2 people. That is normal. I stand to rinse plates. We sprawl on the couch with a late game on mute. He reaches for my book on the side table. He reads the last page I finished. He says the scene hits hard because the lead stops chasing approval. He closes the book and sets it back down in the exact position I left it. Cover square with the table edge. Spine aligned with the lamp base. I stare at his hands for a second. He notices and smiles. He says he has a touch of neatness. I laugh and say I do too. Phone buzz. Friend again. Same one. She writes one line. You look happy. Do you feel like yourself? No question mark. I type a long reply then delete it. I send a short line. Feels simple. She writes back. Simple is good. Simple needs space. I send a heart. We plan a grocery run for Sunday. He says the market will be packed. We go early. Morning light slides down brick and glass. A bus exhales at a corner. We step into aisles with half the lights on. I pick a cereal. He picks the same box. I turn. He holds a second box and shrugs. He says we match again. I smile with my mouth closed. In produce he watches me smell a bunch of cilantro. He copies my move. I pick one bunch with long stems. He picks a similar bunch and holds it in his right hand like a flag. We head for bread. I grab a small loaf. He grabs one that sits 2 slots to the right. He looks at mine and swaps his for the same one. He pauses before the switch. Eyes on my hand. My skin feels warm across my knuckles, as if the air pressed in. We reach checkout. He insists on paying. I say we can split. He shakes his head. He taps his card and pushes the cart toward the door. We step into light rain and set a pace along the block. He asks about my week. I answer in a few lines. He lists plans that mirror mine day by day. Gym. A run on the path. A call with his sister. A late load of laundry. I have a call with my brother on the same night. I did not share that. I nod and look at the wet pavement. Back at my place we set groceries on the counter. He puts items into the same cabinets where I put mine. He knows where to reach. He watched last week. He moves like he lives here. No fumble. No wrong drawer. He places rice in the left bin, pasta in the right, and closes both with a light press. I feel a tight band across my chest. Then he turns and smiles. The band loosens. He says the kitchen looks organized. I say thanks. He sends a text later from his place. A photo of his counter. The same jars I keep. The same stacks. I hold the phone up next to my counter and compare lines without meaning to. My friend texts again, same thread. She asks if I want to grab coffee and talk. I type yes. I send a time and place. She reacts with a heart. That night I try to read. Words do not stick. I fold the page and close the book. I lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling. Air carries sound from the courtyard. A couple argues and then laughs. A siren fades a few blocks away. I tap my thumb against my thigh and count 4 beats. Then I count again. I do this 3 times. My mind settles enough to sleep. Over the next few days, he picks small things first. He chooses seats. He chooses sides of the sidewalk. He chooses which corner of the cafe we use when we meet after work. Each choice lines up with what I like. He pauses before he answers open questions. He asks for my pick with light eyes and an open palm. He waits. I answer. He agrees. He says we match. He laughs when the barista gets both orders right without asking. The barista knows my order from 2 years of mornings. He does not comment on that part. He winks at me like we share a secret. My stomach flips once. We watch a game at his place on Friday. His couch sits low and firm. His chair faces the window at the same angle as mine. He keeps a small plant on the sill. He offers tea. He asks which blend I prefer. I pick a green with toasted notes. He brings the same for himself. We sit with our feet touching. He asks if I want to see photos from a short trip. I nod. He shows 5. He swipes between them and names each spot. The last photo shows a table with a book and a cup beside a window. The book sits square with the table edge. We head home late. We stand in the courtyard under a light with a soft ring of gnats. He steps closer. I kiss him once. He kisses me with a slow heat that builds evenly and holds steady. He pulls away first. He says goodnight. He walks backward for 2 steps and smiles. I watch him go. Inside, I wash my face and brush my teeth. I slide under the sheet and stare into the dark. My phone lights up on the nightstand. He sends one line. Sweet dreams. I type the same back. I place the phone face down and try to sleep. My heart taps a little too fast. Breath steadies. Sleep comes in pieces. Late morning, I meet my friend for coffee. She hugs me hard. We sit and face the window. I tell her small stories. She listens with her whole face. I list small alignments. The sauce mix. The seat picks. The pauses. She nods. She says some people's shape hard to fit. She says some people mirror to gain speed. She asks how I feel in my body when he speaks. I say warm and alert. She asks if I feel free to pick things without checking his eyes. I think. I say I do most of the time. She says to hold that line like a rope in my hand. I say I will. She squeezes my fingers once. I walk home slow. Sun hits the river. A runner passes and taps a light pole at the corner. I take a deep breath and let it out. I send a message to him. See you tonight. He replies with a thumbs up. I feel my back relax. I look at the water again and turn toward my block. Evening lands. He arrives on time. He brings a small bag with 2 items. A candle with no label and a bar of dark chocolate. He sets both on the table and says these remind him of my place. I thank him and set them aside. We eat leftovers and watch a short comedy special. We laugh and sync at 2 bits. He shifts to face me and runs a finger along my jaw. I close my eyes. He kisses me with the same even pace. I feel both drawn in and observed. The mix sits strange and sweet at once. He leaves before midnight. I lock the door and stand barefoot on the rug. I open the small bag. The candle smells like the same notes I use. The chocolate tastes like the one I buy. No labels today. No brands. Pure form. I sit with that detail for a long minute. Then I set both in a drawer. Phone buzz. Friend again. 2 words. Pace yourself. I send a small heart. I turn off the lamp and let darkness fill the room. Days pass. Our pattern holds. Small alignments stack like chairs in a hall. None heavy alone. Together they start to feel like a shape. I mark nothing on paper. I keep a loose map in my head. I place 1 new point each day. I let the lines touch but not close. He texts midweek. He wants to cook at his place. He says he knows my simple stir fry. I send a smile. At his counter he lays out the same 3 knives I keep. He salts the pan at the exact second I would. He plates food with the same swipe of a towel on the rim. We eat in quiet. He watches my eyes when I taste it. I keep my face smooth. I say it is good. He nods and eats. He walks me home after. At my door he leans in for a kiss. I step into it and let the moment run its course. His hand rests on my hip with a gentle hold. No drag. No push. He pulls back and looks at me. He says he wants to see me again tomorrow. I say yes. He smiles and leaves with a light step. I close the door. I lean my back against the wood and slide down to the floor. I laugh once without sound. My body needs rest. My mind rolls. Alignment feels like ease at first. After a while it feels like a script. He never steps wrong. He never hesitates in big moments. He only pauses in tiny ones. A beat before an answer. A pause before a mirror. I feel the pattern in my ribs. I put my palm on my chest and press lightly. The beat slows. I get up and go to bed. Morning light slides across the floor in slow bands. I stand by the closet with coffee in hand. I pick an outfit for a late brunch and a stroll. Soft shirt in a muted tone. Jacket with a narrow cut. Dark jeans with a clean line. Shoes with white edges. I lay each piece on the bed. I smooth one sleeve with my palm. My room holds quiet. A small fan turns near the window. He texts a simple line. I am on my way. I place the cup on the table and dress. Fabric moves easy over skin. I check the mirror once. Hair tame. Collar set. Key fob on the wrist loop. I breathe in for 4 and out for 4. Calm lands. A knock at the door. 2 short taps. I open. He stands in the hall with the same jacket cut. Same muted tone. Jeans in the same wash. Shoes with white edges that match mine. Collar set the same way. Even his hair sits with a near twin part. He smiles. My mouth forms a small shape that tries to be a smile. Heat rises in my cheeks. He steps in 1 pace. I step back 1 pace. We both laugh, small and neat. He lifts his arms from his sides and looks down at our outfits like a ref who checks uniforms. We look right together. Voice soft, close to a whisper. He leans in and kisses my cheek. I set a boundary in motion without a speech. I move to grab the tote from a hook. I keep distance easy and light. He watches me slip the strap over my shoulder. His eyes scan the room in a smooth line. Chair by the window. Frame on the wall. Vase on the table. He nods at each shape like a drummer marking time. We head for the elevator. Doors open with a small bell. He waits for me to step in first. Inside, he stands a half step back. Hands loose. Eyes forward. Floor ticks down. Doors open again. We cross the lobby with heads close. A neighbor holds the door. Air outside feels crisp. Sun throws a pale gloss on concrete. We walk toward the cafe. His sleeve brushes mine every few steps. Our strides match without effort. A pigeon hops from a curb and lifts off. He looks at my shoes, then looks at his. He laughs again. I force a smile that feels thin. My friend's line from last week sits in my mind. This feels staged. I keep my face smooth. Inside the cafe, we take a table near the window. Servers move in quiet loops. He orders the same drink I order. He uses the same few words. A small pause lands before each choice, light and exact. He watches my mouth as I speak, then follows with a near copy. I feel a prickle under my skin, like static from a sweater pulled fast over hair. Not painful. Not nothing. Food arrives. Plates mirror each other. Eggs set soft. Toast in small triangles. Greens with a squeeze of lemon. He holds his fork the same way I hold mine. He cuts in the same angle. He chews with the same pause before a sip of water. I test a shift. I set the fork down on the left side of the plate for 1 bite. He notices and smiles. He keeps his fork on the right. A check mark in the air. Small relief. He asks about my morning. I keep it short. Stretch. Short run. A call with my brother next week. He nods like he files each point. He tells a short story about a neighbor who locks himself out. He uses clean lines only. No noise. No extra thread. I ask a follow-up. He answers with a single sentence. I stare at the matching jacket again. He notices. He looks at his sleeve and rolls the cuff 1 turn, as if he needs air on his wrist. I unroll my cuff and leave mine down. He watches my hand, then looks at the window. We pay and walk home on a route with light shade. He stops to tie a shoe. I stop and wait. A bus exhales at a red light. A child tries to balance on a low wall. He grins at the wobble. Our building draws near. He asks if he can see a photo I mentioned last night. I say yes. I say 2 minutes. He nods. We ride up. I open the door and hold it with a foot. He steps inside and stays near the entry. I pull the print box from the shelf and flip the lid. He stands quiet and still. I thumb through a few images until I find the one he asked about. Sun across a floor. My old place with a rug that looked like a quiet tide. He holds the edge of the photo and looks long. He smiles in a way that feels honest. You have an eye for order. I say thanks and slide the print back into the stack. He reaches for my coat hook. He hangs his jacket next to mine. The 2 pieces touch at the shoulders and fall in the same line. I tilt my head. The match lands hard now that both sleeves hang in view. Stitching echoes mine. Pocket angle echoes mine. Even the collar roll sits with the same wave. A low hum starts in my ears. I walk to the sink and pour water. I drink slow. He stands by the mirror near the door. He tips his head and looks at both of us. He reaches for his phone and lifts it. He waits for my eyes. I give a small nod. He shifts closer, so both of us fit in frame. Our jackets fill the shot with twin planes. I put on a smile that feels like a glove a size off. He snaps one photo. He shows me the screen. He grins. I let out a small forced laugh that sounds normal enough. We do not take another shot. I suggest a walk through the weekend market for fresh air. He says yes. He sets his jacket on his arm. I do the same. We head downstairs. The hall smells like clean floors and dust and sun. Outside, vendors call prices in sing-song lines. He keeps pace an inch behind my shoulder and shifts when I shift. He reaches for fruit when I reach for fruit. He puts his hand back when I do. A small shadow dance. We return with herbs and a loaf. He asks for water. I hand him a glass. He stands near the closet while I slice bread. The door sits half open from earlier. He glances at the gap. A sliver of shoulder seams and colors shows through. He does not push the door. He looks away. I keep my eyes on the knife. I feel his glance more than I see it. We sit and eat in quiet. Crust cracks under teeth. Oil on plates shines a little. Mint scents the room in a thin line. He leans back and watches my face. He asks if I want to see his place. He says he picked up a few new pieces for his living room. He says he wants a second look before nails go in. I nod. A visit gives me a chance to see how he lives when he does not stand in my doorway. We take the elevator in the twin building. He opens his door with a twist and a push from his shoulder. Air in his place feels cool. A small fan turns near a window. Furniture lines up tight and squared. A low couch faces a clean wall. A chair sits at the same angle as mine. A plant lives on the sill. Light slides across wood in a pale strip. He points to a frame on the floor. A print with a strong line and clean space. I nod. Good choice. He smiles. He offers a tour. I keep it brief. Living room. Kitchen with bright counters and neat jars. Hall with 2 doors. He opens one door to a small office. He opens the other to a bedroom. He steps aside. I step in. The room smells like clean fabric and wood. Bed tight. 2 books stacked on a low table. A closet door sits half open near the wall. Inside, hangers hold shirts in a range close to mine. Jackets in cuts close to mine. Colors near mine. New tags hang from 2 items in front. One jacket mirrors mine from a photo 2 weeks ago. One shirt mirrors a piece I wore last weekend. Both pieces look unworn. Edges crisp. I feel a small click in my chest, like a door latch. He sees my eyes on the pieces. He steps forward and touches a sleeve with 2 fingers. He says he found a tailor who loves clean lines. He says work runs better when clothes fit quiet on the body. He smiles at me, then at the mirror over the low dresser. He lifts his phone and frames my shoulder with his in the glass. He says our lines meet well. A note slides through me that feels like a string pulled tight. I move 1 step back from the closet. I keep my tone even. I say the pieces look new. He says he refreshes in batches. He taps a tag near the cuff. He says this one waits on a final sleeve adjust. He says he will pick it up next week. The tag swings once and stops. He does not take the piece off the hanger. He does not try it on. He does not offer the jacket for me to touch. I ask for water. He brings a glass from the kitchen. He stands beside me and drinks from his own glass. We face the mirror again by chance. Our reflections line up. Same jacket shape. Same jeans. Same shoes. Same tilt of head because he mirrors the tilt I give without thinking. My breath sits high in my chest. I lower my chin and look at the floor. He places his glass on the dresser and brushes a speck from my shoulder with a finger. The touch is light. Warmth blooms then fades. We move back to the living room. He talks about the print on the floor. He asks where I would hang it. I point to a spot on the wall. He stands in front of it and holds the frame in place. He looks back at me and raises his brows. I nod. He smiles in a bright way. He sets the frame down and notes the spot with a strip of tape. On the coffee table sits a small folder. He slides it aside to make space for our glasses. Paper inside shows a receipt with a date from this week. A jacket in a muted tone. A shirt in a shade I wore last weekend. A pair of shoes with white edges. He sees my eyes drop to the page. He covers the receipt with the folder. He laughs in a soft line and says he went over budget on wardrobe this month. I say nothing. I sip water. The air feels thick. He leans back on the couch. He looks at me with a soft face. He says he likes how our styles meet. He says pairs often clash. He says we feel easy. He He reaches for my hand. I let his fingers rest around mine. Heat moves the length of my arm. I pull back and lace my hands together in my lap. He nods as if he accepts a cue. I stand and look out the window. The courtyard lies below like a small stage. A dog trots along the path. 2 kids throw a ball that rolls into a shrub. The ball pops out. Both kids laugh. I breathe in and count to 4. I breathe out and count to 4. Behind me, he moves around the room with light steps. A drawer slides. A hanger clicks. A phone chimes and then goes quiet. He calls my name in a low tone. I turn. He holds up 2 jackets. One is mine from his closet. One is mine from my own wardrobe style. Not my exact jacket, yet a near twin in every line. He asks which I prefer for him. He says he wants input because he cares about fit in pairs. He smiles. The smile looks calm. My stomach tightens. I pick the jacket already on his body. He nods and hangs both pieces back on their hooks. We sit again. He suggests a quick photo for a friend who keeps asking to see who he is seeing. He wants to send a picture with both of us in frame. I do not feel ready for that step. I ask for more time. He nods. No push. He puts his phone face down on the table. He says he will wait as long as needed. He says we move at my pace. Relief flows in and out. The mirror of my own words from last week sits inside his line. I hold the relief anyway. I stand to use the bathroom. On the way back, I pause at the bedroom doorway. The closet door still sits half open. Tags still hang. A small paper bag on the floor shows a receipt number written in pen. I note nothing else. I walk back to the couch and sit with my knees close together, hands on thighs. He asks if I want tea. I say sure. He brings 2 cups. He sets mine on a coaster. He sets his on an identical coaster. Steam rises in twin ribbons. We drink in silence. He watches my eyes over the rim of his cup. I keep my gaze on the window. He sets the cup down. He asks if I want to try a different street for our walk home. I say yes. He grabs his keys. We leave the print on the floor and the tape on the wall for later. On the stairs, I speak first. I say the matching outfits feel heavy today. I say it in a gentle voice. He listens with a neutral face. He asks if I feel embarrassed in public or if I feel watched in private. I say both mixed together. He nods and says he hears me. He says he will shift. He says he did not plan a copy. He says he loved how we looked in the mirror. The line lands with weight. I step aside to let a neighbor pass. We continue down. Outside, the air holds the smell of rain on warm concrete. We walk 2 blocks in silence. Our steps fall out of sync for the first time. He tries to match my pace again. I slow more. His stride adjusts to mine after 2 beats. He asks if I want to stop by a shop for flowers. I say no. He nods. We reach my building. He stops at my door. He looks at the mirror by the entry. He looks back at me. He says he will change before dinner. He says he will pick a shirt in a color I never wear. He smiles. The smile reads like goodwill. It also reads like an answer to a test I did not speak out loud. I thank him for hearing me. He steps closer. He places a hand on my shoulder. He squeezes once. He walks away with even steps. I lock the door and lean against it. Air feels thinner inside now. I take slow breaths until the tight band loosens. I hang my jacket. His jacket hung next to mine in my entry for a few minutes earlier. I see 2 empty hooks now, but I feel the line where 2 shoulders touched and fell in a shared curve. I pick up the phone and open the camera. I take 1 photo of the empty hooks. No reason. I save it and close the app. I walk to my closet and slide the door all the way open. Hangers shoulder to shoulder. Shirts in soft tones. Jackets in quiet cuts. Shoes lined in a row. I look at the mirror inside the door. My face looks calm. Eyes alert. I see how easy it is to read a person's outline from a room. A few choices tell a story. Another person can read the same outline. Another person can wear it. I sit on the floor with my back to the bed and hands on my knees. I speak a line out loud in a low voice. My taste belongs to me. The sound helps. I look at the jackets again. I slide one into a garment bag. I slide another into storage for spring. I leave 2 in reach. I want room to breathe when I dress. I stand and walk to the window. Across the courtyard, a light turns on in his unit. A figure moves behind a shade. A jacket shape passes by for a second. Hard to say which one. I close my eyes. I press my palms together and hold them there, warm and steady. I do not speak. I let my breathing set a new pace. Phone buzz. A text from him. Short line. Dinner at 8. Different color, promise. I stare at the words. I type one letter. Then delete it. I type see you then. I set the phone face down. I pull a book from the shelf and sit in the chair by the window. Words settle my mind for a few pages. Then my eyes slide off the lines. I close the book and rest it on my lap. I think about small steps that keep a person free inside a pair. I think about how to mark the line where care ends and control begins. No conclusions. Only notes to self. Dress for self. Pick for self. Keep one private choice off the table for now. I hold these in a quiet box in my head. Evening comes. I change into a light shirt with a tone I never saw on him. I pick shoes with a darker sole to break the match. I tie laces tight. I look in the mirror. Face looks steady. Shoulders set. I step to the door and reach for the knob. I stop. I turn back to the closet. I pull the door half closed. A small move. I leave space the way I want it now. 12:11 a.m. I sit at the table with the room dark and the phone face up. I open voice memos. I speak slow. I set a plan in plain lines. 2 planted likes. 1 food. 1 song. I want proof, not a feeling. I name tomorrow as day 1. I will seed both hints within 12 hours. I will log times and outcomes. I end the memo and save it with a simple title, Test 1. 12:18 a.m. I open a small notebook. First page left corner. Date. Then 3 columns. Seed. Response. Lag. I write the first seed in clean print. Fake childhood snack. Strawberry wafer cookies. I never said this before. No photo in any feed. No mention in any chat. A simple trap with pink sugar and air in the middle. 12:23 a.m. Second seed. Fake favorite song. A slow track with a drum loop and a low synth line. No title. I will describe a hook with a 4-note rise, then a breath. I will say it always lands on a night drive. I will not play it. I will not send a link. If he mirrors, he will surface it on his own within 48 hours. I close the book. I place it under a cookbook on the shelf. I brush crumbs from the table. I wash my hands. I turn off the lamp. I sleep. 7:42 a.m. I walk the river path. Air sits cool along the water. Feet find a steady beat. I feel calm. I rehearse 2 sentences for the snack seed. I add a detail about childhood. I keep the tone light. I run home, shower and dress. Soft shirt. Jeans. Hair neat. I brew coffee and set the mug on the window ledge. 9:03 a.m. He texts good morning. He asks if I want breakfast at my place. I say yes. He says he will bring bread and fruit. I add eggs. He says 10 minutes. I set plates and forks. I take a breath and feel my ribs expand. I tell myself to follow the script. 9:19 a.m. knock. 2 taps. Same as before. He steps in with a paper bag and a small box. Smile easy, eyes bright. I point to the counter. He sets bread down. He sets oranges down. He keeps the box in his hand. He shakes it once. A small rattle. He looks at me. Got a treat for later. He places the box near the fruit. White top. No logo. I say thanks and start the eggs. 9:27 a.m. Oil warms. Pan hisses. Bread toasts. He peels oranges with quick hands and lays segments in a ring. He hums 2 lines from a song I do not know. He never hums out loud. I file it and stay with the eggs. He sets the table. He lines forks and napkins in tight rows. I feel my breath rise, then settle. 9:42 a.m. We sit. We eat. Simple talk. Sleep. Weather. A joke about a runner who waved with both hands. I steer the line toward memory. I say a short story about school mornings. I keep my voice warm. I look at the table, not his face. I say I lived on strawberry wafer cookies when I felt sick. I say a grandparent kept a pack in a tin for me. I say I still love them. I add a laugh. I do not linger. I move back to the eggs. He nods and smiles. 9:49 a.m. He taps the small box. Open this. My chest tightens. I slide the lid with slow fingers. Inside sit strawberry wafer cookies in neat stacks. Pink layers. Air between. He grins. Figured we'd need dessert with breakfast. I look at him for one long beat. Heat moves across my scalp. I hear the line in my head before I speak it. No way that's a coincidence. My voice stays level. He laughs. Great minds. He breaks a wafer and hands me half. I lay it on the plate and do not eat. 9:52 a.m. Notebook out of sight. Phone on the counter. I press the side button to wake the screen. Time recorded by habit. I draw a line across the page in my head. Seed at 9:42. Response at 9:49. 7 minutes. I breathe in. I let it go. 10:03 a.m. He pours more coffee. He bites his wafer half and nods with a small sigh. He holds the rest to my mouth. I shake my head and smile. He eats the rest. He watches my face as he chews. I keep mine still. He wipes a crumb from his lip with the back of his hand. He stacks plates and stands. He washes dishes while I dry. We move like we rehearsed. He reaches for my towel when I finish. He folds it in the same way I fold it. He places it on the rack with the same crease. I turn to the table and gather napkins. 10:31 a.m. He heads out for a call. We kiss once at the door. He steps into the hall and looks back. He says he will text about dinner. I nod. He leaves. I lock the door and stand in silence. I walk to the shelf. I pull the notebook. I write the times. Seed. 9:42 a.m. response. 9:49 a.m. lag, 7 minutes. Note. Box arrived with breakfast. No prior mention in any channel. I add one more line. Felt staged. 12:14 p.m. I sit in the chair by the window with the book open. Words fail to settle. I close it. I listen to the building. Footsteps. A door closed 2 units down. A faucet stop. I run my tongue along my teeth to ground myself. I drink water. I write a second memo with a new title. Test 1 update. I describe the wafer event in short, clean sentences. I end with a steady voice. Phase 2 starts tonight. The song Seed. 5:02 p.m. Late sun throws long lines across the floor. He texts a plan. Quick drive to a lookout above the river. He wants to catch the last light. He will pick me up at 7. I say okay. He sends a smile. 6:13 p.m. I cook rice for myself and eat a small bowl with greens. I need steady blood sugar. I rinse the dish and set it in the rack. I wash my face. I dress in a clean shirt and jeans. No jacket. I slip the notebook into a tote and set the tote by the door. I will not write in front of him. I want it close anyway. 6:58 p.m. buzz. I take the stairs. He waits at the curb with the passenger door open. Car clean. Seat low and firm. He says I look good. He smells like soap and something herbal. I fasten the belt. He pulls away from the curb. We move through green lights toward the bridge. 7:07 p.m. He hits play on the stereo. A drum loop starts. For notes climb. Then a breath. My neck warms. A synth line slides in under the beat. He keeps one hand on the wheel and rests the other on his thigh. He looks at me for one long second. This track owns night drives. The exact hook I wrote in the seed. The exact line. 7:09 p.m. I set my eyes on the windshield. Street lights blink past. My heart taps fast under my ribs. I count down from 10 in my head to slow it. He nods with the beat and watches the road. He says he found the track years ago and forgot it for a while. He says it came back to him this afternoon. He smiles like a boy with a lucky coin. He turns the volume up one notch. 7:12 p.m. My mouth dries. I swallow and look at the side mirror. The river glows under the bridge. I speak one sentence to check my own voice. I say the rise in the hook lands like a switch. He agrees. He repeats the sentence in a near copy. He keeps one word and swaps one. I stare at the light ahead. I keep all other words inside my teeth. 7:17 p.m. We pull into a lookout. A low wall runs along the edge. A group sits on the far end with paper cups and laughs. He kills the engine. The track fades out. He steps out. I step out. Air cools from the river. He leans on the wall with his back to the view. He talks about work in simple beats. He asks about my day. I tell him I cooked and read. He smiles and asks about the book. I give a short line. He gives the same line back with a small twist. He asks if I want to hear the track again on the way home. I nod once. 7:48 p.m. Back in the car. He presses play at the same second I settle in. The track starts from the top. He did not switch to shuffle. He did not skip. He goes straight to it. He keeps volume at the same notch as before. He talks over the intro with a memory from a road trip long ago. He describes a two-lane road and a red sky. He uses clean details and no names. Each beat feels balanced on a knife edge. I listen with my face toward the glass. 7:59 p.m. We reach my block. He parks and kills the engine. Silence fills the car. He looks at my mouth before he looks at my eyes. He says tonight felt easy. He says songs like this do most of the work. He smiles and reaches for my hand. I let his fingers rest over mine for one beat, then ease away. I say thank you for the drive. He nods and steps out. 8:02 p.m. We stand on the sidewalk near the entry. He asks if I want to walk tomorrow. I say I will text. He reads my face for a long second, then backs off with a clear nod. He lifts a hand to his brow like a small salute. He steps away. I watch him go. I enter the building. I take the stairs. My hand shakes on the rail. 8:08 p.m. inside, door locked, lights low. I set the tote on the table. I pull the notebook. I write the second set of times. Seed. None spoken today. The song Seed landed last night in my voice memo plan for me only. First audible mention will come later this week if needed. Response. He played a track with the exact hook I planned to name. Lag. Less than 24 hours from plan to playback. Note. He framed it as a rediscovery. I add 3 words. Felt like Q. 8:16 p.m. I open a new memo. Test 1 summary day 1. I speak for 1 minute. I log both outcomes in a flat tone. Cookies in 7 minutes. Song within a day. I end with a steady line. Phase 3 begins tomorrow. I will add a 3rd low-risk detail to check for overfitting. 8:21 p.m. I set the phone down. I rinse my face with cool water. I hold the edge of the sink and breathe. I picture the wafer box on the counter next to fruit and bread. I picture his hand on the box before I spoke the seed. He brought the trap to me before I said it. He already had it in the bag. Either a guess hit or a plan sat ready. My heart kicks once, then slows. 8:29 p.m. I text my friend with 2 words. Quick call. She rings me back. I sit by the window and speak in short lines. I tell her about the snack. I tell her about the drive. I leave out every extra and stick to time and sequence. She stays quiet for most of it. Then she says one line. Keep writing it down. She says one more. Lock the door. I say yes. We hang up. 9:05 p.m. He sends a photo. Street lights across water from the lookout. A reflection line runs unbroken from shore to shore. He adds 1 sentence. Nights like this set the mood for something real. I stare at the words. My thumb hovers above the keyboard. I send a neutral reply. Pretty view. He sends a heart. I place the phone face down. 9:21 p.m. I open the notebook again. I sketch a small grid. Rows for seeds. Columns for day, time, place, form. I add 2 rows under the first 2. Entry 3 will sit empty for now. I push the book under the cookbook and slide both to the back of the shelf. I stand at the window with the blind half open. Across the courtyard, a light turns on high in the twin building. A figure crosses. A chair scrapes. A shadow lifts an arm. The light goes off. 10:11 p.m. I sit on the floor with my back to the couch. I stretch my legs and flex my feet. Calves pull, then relax. I speak 1 sentence out loud in a low voice. I choose my taste. 3 words. Clear air. My thumb rubs the edge of the rug. 10:34 p.m. I think about next steps. No wardrobe talk. No public scene. No grand move. Only data. My job for the next 2 days is small. Watch. Write. Confirm. I feel a calm settle into my bones. I stand. I brush my teeth. I pull the sheet up and slide under. I fall asleep with the river view still in my head and the 4-note rise stuck behind my ear. 6:41 a.m. next day. I wake before the alarm. I run a short loop. I think through a small addition for the grid. A fake spice mix from a country I never visited. Too much too soon. I skip it. I keep the plan tight. I will not add noise. I shower and dress. I pour coffee. I check my phone. 6:58 a.m. A message from him. Early bird line. He says he wants to swing by with a fresh loaf he picked up. He asks if I am home. I stare at the screen. I type a short reply. Headed out in 10. He sends a thumbs up. I set the phone down. I drink the coffee fast. 7:12 a.m. knock. 2 taps. I open. He steps in with a small bag. He sets it on the counter. He pulls out warm bread. He pulls out a jar of jam with no label. He smiles. Tried a new thing. He hands me a slice. We eat warm bread at the counter with no plates. He watches my hands as I lift the piece. He mirrors the angle of my wrist. He says we should plan dinner. I say we will talk later. He nods and kisses my temple. He leaves as quick as he came. 7:19 a.m. door locked. I set the bread in a bag. I write one line in the notebook. Early visit with food. No link to seeds. Monitor. 11:03 a.m. work pulls me in. Calls stack. Lunch slips late. I keep the notebook in my tote by my chair. I sip water and stare at the wall between tasks. My pulse slows. A thought drops in. He may have placed the wafer box in the bag first as a general treat. Or he knew before I spoke. A general treat would look different. Wafer cookies run specific and old school. Fruit or chocolate would fit a random pick. My mind splits hairs. I breathe and set the thought down. 4:47 p.m. He texts a street photo with a second line. Found a little shop with old snacks. I zoom in. On the lower shelf sits a stack of pink packages. He adds one more line. You mentioned those this morning. Wild. The time stamp on the photo reads 9:15 a.m. He sent it now, hours later. He crops so no storefront shows. He frames it tight on the shelf. My skin prickles in a thin wave from wrist to elbow. 5:02 p.m. I reply with a neutral line. Small world. He sends a smile. He asks about dinner. I keep it light and non-committal. I say my night looks full. He says another time. He sends a heart. I put the phone away. 8:14 p.m. I sit at the table and spread the notebook and a pen. I write a summary for the second day. Early drop with bread. No direct link. Then the photo with a time gap. I list the raw times. I write no guess about motive. I keep this clean. I close the book and put it back in the same place. 9:02 p.m. I step to the window and watch the courtyard. A neighbor walks a dog with a glowing collar. A bike rolls past. Air cools. I press my forehead to the glass for one breath. I step back. I turn off the lamp. I lie down and pull the sheet to my chest. I hold one thought with both hands. Proof lives in small marks. A box on a counter 7 minutes after a line drops. A track with a 4-note rise at sunset within 1 day of a plan. A photo with a timestamp that tells its own story. I do not need a fight. I need a record. I close my eyes. I sleep. 11:19 p.m. laptop open. Screen glow on my hands. I build a sheet from a blank grid. Columns first. Post time. Post type. Caption line. Geotag on or off. First like time. First view time for stories. First comment time. First direct message tied to the post. Arrival event within 2 hours, yes or no. Notes. I keep names out of the header. I want clean rows. I pull my own feed on the phone and scroll to the last 30 days. I do not change privacy settings. I do not post new bait. I only log what I already gave the world. I set the phone to never sleep. I place it flat on the table. I work backward from today. Row 1. A river photo at 6:12 p.m. warm light on water. Caption with 8 words. No emojis. No tags. First like hits at 6:13. First story view from the same profile at 6:14. First direct message at 6:18. A single line about the way sky meets water. The voice matches the tone I used in the caption. Arrival event at 6:33. Entry camera ping from the courtyard gate for a person who visits me twice a week. The person's unit sits across the way. The gate ping pairs with a second ping from the front door 2 minutes later. Knock at 6:37. No one at the peephole when I checked. No package on the mat. Notes 2 pings. No ring. No buzz. I enter both times. I mark yes for arrival. Row 2. A story from noon. Coffee in a white cup near a book cover. No names in frame. No brand marks. No geotag. A single word in the caption. First view in under 1 minute from the same profile. A heart reply 2 minutes later. A text message comes at 12:09 with a photo of a cup from a shop on my block. No sign in frame. Same table grain as mine. Message line reads, needed this today. I mark the time. I enter yes for arrival, since a third party saw a person who fits his build on my corner at 12:05. That note lives in a group chat from a friend who walked past. Row 3. A low photo of my court under lights from 2 nights back. Caption with 1 sentence about late runs. First like at 9:03 p.m. First comment at 9:05 with a line about pace and space. The phrasing mirrors a small phrase I use after games. I mark the time. I mark my own text thread from 9:18, where I sent a video to a friend with a pass from the new guy. I keep the row focused. I do not drift. I build 10 rows in 1 hour. I highlight anything under 5 minutes between post and first response from his side. Yellow fills most cells. I add a second color for any arrival within 2 hours of a post from me. A soft red fills more cells than I want to see. The sheet begins to look like a heat map. I pause and sip water. I scroll farther back to a quiet week before we met in person. Old posts. A book on a table. A plant on a sill. A river path with no people in frame. I watch views tick in from profiles I know. I see one view from his profile on the book story from that week. I never noticed this before. He watched before we spoke. I write a note. First contact on the court came later. I do not guess motive. I only log the order. I open my captions and look for small phrases I repeat. I keep a list in a side column. 3 show up more than once. He uses each one at least once in replies across 2 weeks. The gap between my use and his use runs short. Less than 1 day in one case. 3 days in another. I mark those gaps in minutes. I move to geotags. I do not tag every place. I keep tags off for my block. I tag the river path often. I tag the small market on Sundays. I tag a bookstore once a month. I pull each tag and write down the post time. Then I check messages and door pings. He appears near all 3 spots without a plan on at least 4 days. He walks into the market less than 30 minutes after my Sunday post. He texts a photo from the river path within an hour of my loop twice. He posts a story from the bookstore 2 hours after I tag it. His story frame includes the same table where I set my book. I never saw his story at the time. I look now and feel a slow rise behind my ribs. I search my gallery for old shots I never posted. 2 show a jacket on a chair and a plant on the sill in morning light. He posted similar angles in the same week we met, but he framed the plant from low to high, which is the way I frame that sill. I write a short note. Similar eye. Possibly a personal style. Possibly a mirror. No guess beyond that word. Midnight crosses to 12:01. I rub my eyes and drink more water. I stretch my neck. I return to the sheet. I open Story Analytics. I click one frame with a song line over river glass. He viewed first. He replied with the same 4 words. I set view time and reply time. Under 2 minutes between my post and his reaction. I select all rows with under 2 minutes. The sheet shows 9 rows in 2 weeks. I write those times down by hand on paper. I want them outside the screen. Phone buzz. Entry camera alert. Timestamp 12:07 a.m. A late figure crosses the courtyard. Hood up. Walk pace slow. The person stops near the mailboxes. No mail at that hour. The person lifts a phone and checks the screen. Head angle matches his. I watch in silence. The person leaves at 12:09. I enter both times in the sheet. I write a note. No knock. No text. I put a hand on my chest and wait for my pulse to drop. It drops. I scroll back to a month before we met. I listen to the room. No sound from the hall. I keep logging. I find a week where I posted little. He still viewed most frames first. He still replied quickest on the few stories I did share. Then a quiet day where I posted nothing. He sent a message at 8:02 p.m. 6 words about missing my voice online. I left it on read. He sent a heart 30 minutes later. No words. I add a row for days with no posts and his outreach. I mark counts for each week. The sheet needs a second tab. I name it routes. I map my usual path to the river. I mark 3 corners where he ran into me in the last 10 days. I check my own story times on those days. I see a pattern. Each run-in lands within 90 minutes of a story of the river or a photo from my window. I circle those cells. I write a line on paper. You show up where I am. I whisper the line once. I feel my skin go cool, then warm. I step into the hall for a break. I drink from the kitchen tap and stand by the sink. I keep the light off. City light gives enough. I return to the table. I add one more field to the main sheet. Hint in post, yes or no. A hint means a word or image I leave on purpose for my own signal. Not a trap. A marker only I would notice. I marked 2 older posts with small hints I forgot I used. His replies mirror both hints within hours. I log those times. I pull a paper calendar from the drawer. I pencil days where he arrived after my posts without a plan on the books. 6 days in 2 weeks. No flowers on those days. No notes. Only presents. I stack these dates over the sheet to see alignment. They match the heaviest clusters of fast replies. I scroll through his feed. He keeps names out of frames. He shows places more than faces. He never tags me. He never uses my lines as captions. He keeps copies inside replies and texts, not on his page. He paints a soft picture of a calm life. Runs at dawn. Tea at night. I write 2 lines in the notes. Public face feels steady. Private pattern moves fast. I open my message thread with him. I search for the first time he quoted one of my captions. I find it 2 days after we met. He used a 2-word phrase I wrote above a night photo. He sent it as a greeting without context. I reply with a smile back then. I log it now with times. I open a folder with door camera clips. I scan dates that match heavy days in the sheet. I watch 3 short clips. In each one he walks past the front entry without buzzing. He stops for a second near the wall where sound carries up. He looks up, not at my window but toward the line of units where my place sits. He leaves. I mark those times and place a note. No knock. No message right after. A message came later on each day. A neutral line each time. I check my contacts. I open a chat with the friend who warned me early. I scroll up to the first time she used the word staged. I copy the date into the sheet. That night shows yellow and red both. Fast reply on a caption. Arrival at the market within 30 minutes. I sit back and press my palms flat on the table to ground myself. I test a new view. I sort by his first view times across all stories. I mark any story where he watched first, and also replied with a line that reused my phrasing within 20 minutes. 4 hits. In each hit, he also appeared within 2 hours at a spot linked to the post. A cafe, the river, the grocery on my block, the courtyard path. I write those spots in a small side list and number them 1 through 4. I pull up maps and check walk times between his entry and each spot. Each walk falls under 15 minutes. I draw arrows on paper. His unit to my block. His unit to the cafe. His unit to the river path entry near the broad stair. His unit to the store. The arrows form a small wheel. My unit sits at the center spoke. I take a breath and check myself. I do not want to slip into story logic. I want record logic. I check a control. I pick 3 posts where I wrote about work without location. He replied slower on those posts. No arrival tied to those posts. I mark this and feel relief. A pattern that only hits when location or routine sits on the table points to tracking, not random sync. I set a timer for 5 minutes to avoid a long dive. I stand. I stretch my back. I walk to the window. I slide the blind 2 fingers width. The twin building sits dark on most floors. 1 window glows on his side. The light goes off. The blind goes down. I sit and return to the sheet. I add a final tab named script. I paste 2 lines I hear from him often. One about alignment. One about ease. I list the messages that carry those lines. I mark what came right before those messages from my side. In 4 cases, those lines followed a post where I used similar words in a caption. Time gaps were short. Under 2 hours. I circle each one. I close my eyes and replay a memory. A photo from his place on a night we watched a game. The book on his table sat square with the edge. He took the photo from the angle I use. He wrote a line about calm in small spaces. I wrote a line about calm in small rooms 2 days earlier under a shot of my chair. I feel a small pull in my chest and let it pass. I open a blank document and write a paragraph for later use. Short and factual. Dates. Times. Posts. Replies. Arrivals. I leave names out. I save it with a clear file name and date. I do not share it. I only store it. Phone buzz. A message from him. A photo of the river from a higher angle than mine. No people in frame. He writes 3 words. Late light heals. My caption 2 days back used a close cousin of those words. I mark the time. I do not respond. A second buzz. Entry camera ping. Front door opens. The camera sees a person pass with shoulders that look like his. Hoodie up. A bag in left hand. He does not stop. He passes through and heads for the stairs to his own side. I breathe out slow. I log it. I write a single note. Watch only. I check the clock. 1:27 a.m. I need sleep. I run a last pass over the sheet. I test for errors. I correct one time I typed wrong. I save and back up to a thumb drive in a drawer. I close the laptop and let my eyes adjust to dark. I sit at the table a minute longer. I think about old posts from before we met. He watched some of those. He replied to none. After we met, speed picked up. Views first. Replies fast. Arrivals more frequent. The change has shape. I do not need to name intent. I need to know the weight. I speak one line into a new voice memo. Calm voice. Plain words. Sheet built. Pattern clear. Next step will not be a scene. Next step will be more logging and a small boundary on posts. I end the memo. I lie down and watch the ceiling for a while. I fall asleep. Morning. 7:06 a.m. I wake to a light ping from the entry camera. A courier drops a box for a neighbor 2 doors down. I relax and close my eyes for 10 more minutes. Then I rise. I stretch. I drink water. I open the sheet and add a new row for today. I do not plan to post until evening. I want to see if silence shifts his pace. Work eats the day. Noon brings a text from him. A single line about a runner on the path who wore shoes with lights in the soles. I smile at the image and do not reply. He sends a second line at 12:21. Lunch later. I send a neutral line. Booked. He sends a thumbs up. Late afternoon, I walk to the small store for greens. I turn my phone face down in my pocket. No feed. No posts. No stories. The sun sits low. The air holds heat from the day. I pass the cafe and look inside. He sits near the window with a cup. He taps his phone. He does not look up. I stop outside the door for 2 seconds, then move on. I do not enter. I do not wave. I feel my ribs rise and fall. Slow. I reach the store and buy greens and eggs. I walk home. I add a note on the sheet. Unplanned sighting at 5:14 p.m. No post before. He stayed on my route anyway. Unknown purpose. I write the line and leave the cell blank for any link. Evening falls. I sit with the notebook open. I write a short list of rules for myself for the next week. Post with a delay. No live geotags. Caps on any home frame, so no view line shows. 2 days a week with no posts at all. Share one image only with the friend who warned me early. Use timestamps on anything I do share. Keep records in 2 places. Tell one person anytime a late visit happens near my door. I text my friend a photo of the sheet with rows blurred. I write a line. Logging helps. She replies fast. Keep going. She asks if I sleep with the phone on mute. I say yes. She says good. She adds one more line. If anything wakes you, call me first. I close the thread and sit with my back straight. I think about control. Not grand control. Small control. Posts. Doors. Logs. Boundaries. I do not send a summary to him. I do not hint. I do not confront in public. Not yet. I hold the data and let it cure like a small cast. I open the door camera app one more time. I scan the log for the last 3 days. Pings line up with my own posts more often than not. On the 2 days with no posts, he still came once. Short visits. No knock. I log both. I whisper the same line I wrote in the margin last night. You show up where I am. I hear my voice in the quiet room. The line sounds flat and true. I close the laptop. I set the notebook under the cookbook again. I turn off lights. I check the lock. I place my phone on the nightstand face down. I lie on my side and let my breath slow. The flowers start on a Tuesday. One bouquet leans against my door when I get home from work. No card stock. Plain note. For words in neat print. For my favorite person. Stems press into brown paper. I unlock the door and carry them inside. I cut the ends, drop them in the vase, and wipe water from the table. I tell myself to see a kind act and no more. Wednesday brings 2 bouquets. One waits at noon when I return for a forgotten folder. One waits at night. Both sit in plain paper. Both carry short lines with no name. My name does not appear. The notes use a pet name I have not agreed to. Sweetheart. The space between the words looks tight, like he wrote fast. I line both bundles in a second vase and a pitcher. Color crowds the window. The room smells like a florist shop. I crack the window to thin the scent. Thursday, the door camera pings twice before lunch. The first clip shows a delivery person in a uniform I do not know. The second clip shows him. Hoodie up. Head down. He sets a third bouquet at my door and steps back. He looks up toward the camera for one beat. He lifts a small card. He slides it under the paper band and leaves. The card says us, not you. The pronoun catches my throat. I set the flowers in the sink and run water. I do not put them in a vase. By Friday, the hall smells like rose water. A neighbor leaves a note on the wall that asks people to keep deliveries small. I run a finger over the tape. I sweep leaves from my mat. I send a message to him and ask to scale gifts down. He replies with a heart and 3 words. I hear you. That night he arrives with a bag and a smile. He asks to cook. I say okay. He moves in my kitchen like he trained for it. Knife out. Board down. Onion into a small dice with no waste. Garlic crushed and chopped. Pan hot. Oil in. Sizzle. He salts with his fingers high over the pan and tilts the onion with the blade. He drops greens and tosses twice. He turns the heat down and reaches for my bowl of lemons. He rolls one under his hand on the counter. He cuts and squeezes through his fingers to catch the seeds. He plates food in 2 bowls, wipes the rim with a towel, and sets both on the table with forks at a perfect angle. He lifts his eyes to mine. Let me take care of everything. The sentence lands like a stone in water. The ripples start small and expand. We eat. He watches my face more than the plate. He reaches to brush hair from my cheek with the back of his fingers. He calls me by the pet name from the notes. He says it again 2 minutes later, then again. I say my name once to reset the room. He smiles and uses it, then slides back to the pet name before we finish the bowls. The shift feels like a hand on my elbow guiding without asking. I clear plates and wash. He dries and puts everything where it belongs. He hums the same 4 notes he played in the car 2 nights ago. My shoulders tighten, then drop. After dinner, he pulls a folded page from his pocket. He says he wrote out a list of small plans to make our week smooth. He sets slots for runs, dinners, and a movie on Sunday. He names a friend of mine and leaves that night blank. He says he wants that time for us. I study the page. The handwriting looks like the notes on the flowers. I ask to keep the page. He says of course. He kisses my forehead and rests there a beat too long. Saturday, a basket sits on my mat at dawn. Bread wrapped in cloth. A jar of jam. A card with a drawing of 2 mugs on a table. He writes a line about quiet mornings and long life. Future talk creeps in at the edges. He adds a second line. Our place works for 2. I look at the words and feel heat behind my eyes. I carry the basket inside and set it on the counter. I send a text that says thank you for the food. I add a second line that asks him to leave gifts with a name on them only. He replies with the pet name and a heart. He adds a third line. Habit is strong with me. I am learning. The words read like apology and like a rule. He ups the pace after lunch. A knock at the door. I open to find a box with a small plant in soil. He stands in the hall with his hands behind his back. He pulls out a card with a line about roots. He says the plant will live in the window light we both love. He steps in when I step back and carries the pot to the sill. He sets it near the chair at the same angle as mine. He steps close and looks at the chair. He taps the arm once like a drummer marking time. I stand with my arms at my sides and count my breaths. 4 in, 4 out. He reaches for my hand and brings it to his mouth. He kisses the knuckles and rests his lips there for a second. He speaks against skin. He repeats the pet name and adds a pledge to keep making things easy. The word easy sits on my tongue like a chalky pill that needs water. He sets my hand down and opens a bag. He unloads candles, fruit, and a small tin with tea. He lines them on the table in a grid. He asks which I prefer. I pick 1 candle and set the rest aside. He watches my choices like a test. He leaves at dusk and returns at 8 with a full bag for dinner. He moves through the kitchen the same way as last night. He changes 1 herb. He uses the same pinch of salt and the same squeeze of lemon. He plates with the same wipe of the rim. He calls me by the pet name between steps. He tells a short story about a small town and a porch in summer. He adds us to the story before it ends. I keep my face calm and say nothing. We eat. He cleans. He kisses me at the sink and asks to stay. I shake my head and point to the door with my chin. He nods and leaves without a fight. He texts a heart when he reaches his unit. Sunday, I wake to the sound of paper sliding under my door. A note reads, our movie at 3. He lists 2 titles I mentioned in a chat with a friend 2 days ago. He does not ask which one I want. He says he booked a seat at a small theater. He lists my favorite row inside. I did not tell him that detail out loud. He uses the row I pick when I go alone. I sit on the floor with the paper in my hands and feel the air slide in and out of my chest. I send a text to move the time. He replies with the pet name and says he already bought tickets. I say I will meet him at the theater. He sends a heart and a smile. On the way out, I pass 3 bouquets lined along the hall by my door. A neighbor walks by and glances down, then looks at me. I raise my shoulders and lower them. She nods and keeps moving. I carry 2 of the bouquets to the trash room and leave one near the mailboxes for anyone to take. I wipe petals from my mat. I lock up and head out. At the theater, he stands under the awning with 2 tickets in his hand. He leans in for a kiss and lands it near my mouth. I turn my face at the last second and give him cheek. He holds my elbow for a beat. He asks if I am okay. I say I am fine and step inside. He follows. He picks the row I prefer. He sets a jacket on the seat to my left like a placeholder for an invisible friend. He lifts the armrest on his side. I push it back down and keep my hands in my lap. He glances at the armrest and then at the screen. The lights dim. The movie ends. He stands and pulls the jacket from the empty seat. He holds it tight. We walk out to the street. He asks if I want dinner at his place. I say I need an early night. He nods and looks at his watch. He says he will walk me home. I say no. He says he will walk behind me and peel off at the corner. He smiles. I say goodnight and head for the train. Back at my building, the entry hall sits quiet. I cross to the elevator. The doors open. He steps out. He holds a bag with 2 small boxes and a wrapped bundle. He smiles like a person who timed a surprise right. He says he wanted to send me off with dessert. He tries the pet name again. The sound hits me like a tap to the forehead. I say his name, not the pet name. He lines his lips and nods. We stand near my door. I shift my tote to my other shoulder and reach for the keypad. For buttons light under my fingers. The lock beeps and shifts. He sets the bag on the floor. He tilts his head and watches my hand. I push the door open and step inside halfway. I turn to him and say goodnight. He nods and reaches to grab the bag. He sets it inside the entry on the floor without crossing the threshold. He smiles, then glances at the keypad. He lifts his hand and taps 4 numbers on the pad in a smooth line. The lock gives a sharp beep that means no. He smiles wider, but the smile stops short of his eyes. He taps another set of numbers. The same tone. He glances at my face. He laughs a small laugh and says he thought I told him the code when we joked about birthdays last week. We did not. He taps a 3rd sequence and watches the light. The light stays red. My chest goes cold and then hot. I lift my hand and cover the pad with my palm. I look at his eyes until he looks down. I say we will not do that again. I say I never gave him the code. I ask him to hand me the bag and step back. He steps back at once. He holds up both hands. He nods and says he got carried away. He uses my name, not the pet name. He says he heard me. He adds one more line. He says he wants this to feel safe. I take the bag and keep my face calm. I say goodnight. He takes a step back. He does not turn yet. He looks at the door and then at me. He says he will call in the morning. He leaves. I set the bag on the table and lock the door. I stand in the entry with both hands on the wood. My hands shake. I breathe slow until the shake settles. I carry the boxes to the counter and open them. 2 small cakes and a note in the same hand as the flowers. The note says we are a team. The word team sticks to my tongue. I throw the note away and put both cakes in the fridge. I wash my hands with hot water and soap. I dry them on the towel he folded 2 nights ago. I refold it my way. The next day he sends a good morning line with a photo of the river. He asks if I slept well. He calls me by the pet name again. I reply with a short line. Busy day. He sends a heart and a plan for dinner. I do not answer. He sends a second plan with a menu he knows I like. He says he will shop and cook and clean. He says I will not lift a finger. The offer reads like care and like control. I reply with a new line. I will cook tonight. If you come, you bring nothing. He answers with one word. Deal. At 6 he knocks. I open the door and keep my body in the frame. He holds out empty hands and wiggles his fingers. He smiles. He says he kept the deal. His eyes flick to the keypad and back to my face. He does not touch it. I step aside and let him in. I hand him a towel and ask him to dry. I cook a simple meal. I plate. I set a fork and a spoon at his spot. He sits and waits for me to sit. He eats slow and keeps his eyes on me. He does not use the pet name. My shoulders drop. After dinner he reaches for the sink. He washes. He places the towel on the rack. He moves to the entry and looks at his shoes. He does not reach for the lock. He looks at me and says he wants to make things clean for us. He uses the word us again. He keeps his tone low. He asks to leave a sweater here. He says it makes sense because he visits often and the evenings run cool. I shake my head. He nods and says okay. He leaves with soft steps. The door closes. 2 hours later, a knock. I look through the peephole. He stands there with a small bag. He calls my name in a low voice. He says I forgot a box from last night. I open the door a crack. He slides the bag into the gap and steps back. I open the bag. Inside sits a bottle of oil and a folded card. The card says next time we will cook together. The next underlines the future. I set the card on the table and stare at it until the words blur. The next morning the door camera pings at 7:03. A courier leaves a box. I bring it inside and open it. A kit for herbs in a long planter. Soil pucks. Seeds. A folded sheet with a guide. No brand on the sheet. A note in his hand sits on top. It says our window will look good with green. I set the kit in the closet and close the door. He texts at noon with a new pet name. A longer one made from a private joke. He adds a photo of breakfast and a line about missing my voice in the morning. I do not reply. He sends a voice note. He says my name and asks me to play it later if my day runs long. I delete the note without listening. I breathe out and find the center of the room with my eyes. At night he shows up with 2 bags even though I told him to bring nothing. He says he did not want me to lift a pan. He speaks with pride at the word care. He unloads a full meal on the counter. He sets a small candle near the sink and lights it. He calls me by the pet name and asks for my hand. I say no. I say we eat after I change. I walk to the bedroom and close the door. I stand with my back to the wood and let air move through my nose and out of my mouth. I count to 20. I return to the kitchen. He stands by the counter with both hands in front of his chest like someone who wants to show peace. We eat. He talks about winter plans as if a calendar exists with both names on it. He mentions a weekend away and a move next year to a larger place. He lists a couch and a rug in a tone that suggests both sit in the room already. I use small words. I use present tense. I return to the plate and the fork. He does not take the hint. He says he will book a place by the water. He says I will love it. He says our photos will look good there. I say I have not agreed to a trip. He blinks twice. He smiles and says we have time. We finish and clean. He lingers at the door. He leans close and speaks my name. He asks to stay. I say no. He kisses my cheek and shuts his eyes. He whispers the pet name like a prayer. He opens his eyes and looks at the keypad. He does not touch it. He says he will text in the morning. He leaves. This pace holds for days. Gifts stack. Notes use the pet name and are in the same breath. Dinners arrive with no ask. Plans appear in my messages like tasks on a shared board I never joined. The air in the room shifts. What felt like generosity now feels like weather. It comes on fast. It fills space. It bends small things in its path. I move through it and breathe. I make a small line for myself. I will not accept gifts at the door without a name. I will not take food I did not request. I will not allow free use of my kitchen on nights I need quiet. I will not let any person touch my lock or guess a code. I write the line on paper and tape it inside a cabinet where only I will see it. I tell one friend this rule exists. She writes back one line. Hold the line. He feels the shift. He slows the flowers and pushes time together instead. He sends a list of tiny scenes he wants to create for us. Coffee at dawn. 3 markets in one day. A shared run in the rain. A night where he cooks and I pick music and we do not speak for an hour. The list reads like a script. He uses the pet name in the header. I reply with a single line. I will pick what I want when I want. He sends a heart and a quiet face. He says he will be outside at 6 to walk me to the gym. I let the message sit unread. At 6 the door camera shows him at the entry with a towel around his neck and a bottle of water in his hand. He waits 3 minutes. He leaves when I do not appear. He sends a heart after he reaches his unit. He waits 2 hours and sends a photo of his breakfast. The plate mirrors how I plate. Toast at a clean angle. Fruit in a line. Late that night I hear the keypad outside my door beep twice. 2 sets of tones. Both wrong. I stand barefoot on the rug with my phone in my hand. I do not open the door. I watch the peephole. The hall sits empty. I look at the camera feed. No person stands in frame. It could be a neighbor who forgot a code. It could be him. My body reads it one way. My mind holds both. I sleep in a light way and wake with the sun. text from him. 2 lines. He says he slept little. He says he misses me. He uses the pet name again. I wait an hour and send a short reply. Busy day. He sends a heart. He adds a plan for dinner. I do not answer. Evening comes. I cook for myself and keep the door locked. I stand in the kitchen and listen to the building. Pipes. Footsteps. Doors. No knock. No flowers. No cards. I sit and eat in peace. I feel air move through rooms like a tide when the wind shifts. I hold my fork in my right hand and watch light fall across the table. I finish. I wash the plate and set it to dry. I turn each lock and check each window. Saturday, 9:06 a.m. My phone lights with 2 threads on top. The brunch thread with my 2 closest friends. The new thread with him. The brunch plan sits set from 2 days ago. Small place on Maple. Late morning slot. My friends sent a photo of the menu last night with 3 circles around dishes we like. I type on the brunch thread first. On my way at 10:40. Heart replies land. His text arrives as I lace shoes. A photo of eggs in a pan and the line. Stay in with me and eat slow. A second line follows. I grabbed fresh fruit. Quality time beats the crowd. He adds a heart. I look at my calendar on the wall. I wrote brunch in pen. I set my phone down and breathe. I type a short reply. I have brunch at 11. He sends a quick face in the line. I thought we said we needed a quiet morning. We did not. He sends a third message before I answer. I picked up your favorite fruit. 9:18 a.m. knock. 2 taps. He stands in the hall with a small bag and a bright smile. He steps in when I step back. He loads fruit into a bowl. He takes a pan from the rack with the same hand he uses for everything. He moves like a person who wants a plan to lock into place. He cracks eggs and talks about the way small places eat your time. He says my friends love me, then asks if they love the time I keep for us. I check the clock. 9:27. I speak 1 sentence. I have brunch at 11. He nods. He answers with a soft voice. We can eat fast and I will drive you over. He squeezes a half orange over the pan. He sets plates on the table. He pulls out a fresh jar of jam from his bag and smiles like he landed a trick. He knows what I like on toast. He spreads a thin layer with the back of a spoon. He does not ask if I want it. I send a quick note on the brunch thread, running a few minutes behind. Save me a seat. A heart lands with a photo of coffee mugs. I eat, but my body feels like it leans forward. He talks about how rooms feel calmer with no rush. He says the line about ease again. He sets his fork down and looks at me. He says we can skip once. He says my friends stack plans on weekends and leave no room for us. 10:06. I stand to rinse plates. He reaches around me to turn off the faucet with his wrist. He places his hand on my elbow for 1 beat. He says he hates to see me spun up. He uses the word spun like a doctor who wants to stop vertigo. He offers to call the place to move the slot. He knows my full name in the system would help. I do not give him that number. I say I will text. I grab my tote. He steps into my path. He picks a hair from my shirt with 2 fingers. He says the place on Maple runs loud. He says one friend always brings a topic that drains me. He says the other checks a phone and makes me repeat myself. He says he knows because I told him. I did not tell him that in a direct way. He caught 2 lines over weeks and stitched them. The stitch lands clean. 10:21. I leave a voice note on the brunch thread. I say I will be tight on time. One friend replies with the line, "We will hold the table as long as they let us." The other says no pressure if I feel wiped. He watches my face and nods in a way that says see. He holds out my coat like a valet. The move looks smooth. I slide my arms in and move toward the door. Elevator. 10:28. We ride down. Door opens on the lobby. One of my friends from the brunch thread steps through to pick up a pastry first. She sees me and grins. She hugs me. She steps back and looks at him with a kind face. She asks if he is joining. He says he needs to get back to a call. She says she will see me in 10. She touches my arm and leaves. Doors close. He stands with his hands in his pockets. He watches the floor numbers tick, then leans toward me with a soft voice. He says my friend drinks too much and turns every story into hers. He says her energy weighs on me. The line cuts sharp in a space that holds old carpet smell and the thud of the lift. I swallow. I study the door. He adds the quote he wrote for this chapter without a hitch. They don't get us like I do. We step out to the lobby. Air sits cool on skin. My phone buzzes with a photo from the table at the cafe. My friends hold up menus like signs. He tips his head toward the door and says he parked nearby. He says he can drop me and pick me up when done. He names a time slot that leaves no room for another plan. I say I will walk. He pauses, then smiles. 11:07. I text that I am 10 minutes out. A server says the table will slip if I do not sit by 11:20. I jog 2 blocks. I meet them at the host stand. We sit. Coffee arrives. I take a breath. One friend asks if everything feels good at home. The other watches my face. I pour cream. I say his pace runs tight. I say he treats my time like a shared calendar. I touch the mug and hold it there. Both friends listen. They drop eyes to their laps at the same time. Then both look up. One says she felt a shift. The other says she saw a bag outside my door on a weeknight and did not want to intrude. They tell me they miss slow time with me. They ask for one night a week that sits immune. No swaps. No drop-ins. A block with my name written in thick pen. I nod and feel my throat open a notch. Food arrives. We eat in lines and pauses like we always do. We trade small stories. We talk about the movie we watched last month. We laugh once, loud enough to turn ahead. I think about speed. I think about who sets it. I think about how often I check his face before I name a plan. The thoughts leave heat in my chest. I drink water and hold the glass in both hands. 12:31, my phone vibrates. He sends a photo of a small table with 2 bowls and steam, no faces. He writes, "Made lunch if you need to reset after the noise." I place the phone face down. One friend eyes the phone and lifts a brow. I shake my head and change the subject. We walk out into bright sun. One friend heads east for a shift. The other heads with me for 3 blocks. We stop at the corner near my building. She squeezes my hand. She says 3 sentences. Hold a night for you. Tell me if you want me at your door on that night for cover. You do not need a reason to say no. She slides her arm through mine for 2 steps. Then she peels off toward the train. I cross the courtyard. He sits on the low wall by the entry. He stands when he sees me. He asks if it felt like a rest or a drain. He asks before he says hello. I say it felt good. He nods in a way that looks supportive and sounds like a tally. He touches my elbow. He asks what I want to do next. The word next hooks something behind my ribs. I say I want an hour alone to read. He says he will run an errand. Afternoon passes. 4:02 p.m. He texts a plan for later. Dinner at the small place on Birch. The one with the corner table. I already set a hangout with a friend at 7. Open mic at a cafe on 3rd. A cousin plays 2 songs. I send him the line, "I have plans at 7. He replies fast. He writes that he forgot, and that the open mic runs long and leaves me wiped. He offers to meet after for dessert. He names the dessert I like. He adds a heart. I reply with a single word. Booked. He sends a thumbs up. He does not send a time for a next day plan. Relief settles in for an hour. 6:38 p.m. I pull on a jacket and step into the hall. I hit the elevator button. Doors open. He stands inside with 2 cups in a holder and a small bag. He smiles like fate did this. He says he came to walk me to the cafe. He hands me a cup. Same order. He lifts his own cup for a small toast. He asks if we can stop by the corner and watch light on the river for 5 minutes first. He says 5 in a tone that makes 5 feel small. We stop at the corner for 7 minutes. He talks about a title for a photo series he wants to shoot. He asks my input. My friend texts that she is in line at the door. I say I need to go. He tips the cup to his lips and nods. He walks me to the cafe entry. He leans in as if to kiss. I give cheek. He smiles without the eyes and steps back. He says to text when I leave, so he can meet me at the corner. I say I will go home after with my friend. He says he will walk us both and then peel off. He sells it like a chivalry move. I say no. He smiles with his mouth only. He says enjoy the night. Inside, my friend waves from the back. The room smells like coffee and old wood. A woman reads from a page. A man tunes a guitar near a stool. My friend slides me a chair. We watch 2 sets. We clap. We whisper after a rough chord. We laugh when an amp squeals, and the sound tech swats a cable like a fly. 9:12 p.m. We step to the sidewalk. Night air sits soft. She lifts a hand to hail a ride. A shadow steps from the corner. He appears with 2 cups and the bag from the elevator. He says he brought a pastry for us to split. He says the walk back will feel good after all that sitting. He does not check my face first. He sets the bag in my friend's hand like a host. She thanks him and looks at me. I keep my voice steady. I say we set this hangout last week. He nods. He says he knows. He says he wanted to make it easy at the end. He turns to my friend with a polite smile and adds a line about dark streets and how pairs feel safer. She nods with a tight mouth. She says she needs to talk with me for 5 minutes. She asks him to give us a block. He steps back with a smooth face and points to a spot near the bus stop. He waits there and watches the sidewalk. We walk toward my building. She lowers her voice. She says he folds himself into plans like he owns stock in them. She asks if I feel free to set a night and keep it. I say I want to. She says name it out loud to me and to him. She says texts blur. I nod. We stop at my door. She hugs me. She waits while I unlock. I push the door open and step into the frame. She says she will call when she gets home. I say thank you. We smile. Then we both turn our heads. He stands 20 feet away with the cups in the holder and the bag. He lifts the holder like a toast. My friend lifts a hand without a smile. She leaves. He steps in slow with a careful face. He sets the bag on my mat. He says he only wanted to see me safe to my door. He says he will go. He hesitates. He asks if I will walk him to the elevator. I do not want to. I still do it. We ride down. Doors open. We stand alone under the lobby light. He asks what my plan looks like tomorrow. I say I need all day for myself. He takes a breath. He says he felt a wall tonight. He asks if a friend put ideas in my head. He says one line with no heat and a sharp edge. Your people stir up old fear. It slows your growth. He follows with a soft sentence. We need space from noise. I step back from him 1/2 step. I hold my keys in my palm. I keep my voice low. I say my friends know my history and my baseline. I say they help me keep my own pace. He studies my face for a long second. He nods like he heard at least part of it. He steps aside. He says good night in a quiet tone. He does not touch me. He turns and walks toward the twin entry. Sunday, 10:12 a.m. My friend with the quick read texts an invite to a market and a park bench. She adds a photo of her dog in a bandana. I type yes. I put on shoes. I lock up. I step into the hall. He stands at my door with a smile and a set of keys on his index finger. He found a spare key under the plant in his place and twirls it while he talks. Not my key. His key. He says he plans to drive out to a trail and thought I would want fresh air. He raises the keys and asks if I want to ride out now. I hold the lock with my palm. I say I have a plan. He tips his head. He asks if I can move it. He says we need a long stretch away from the city to reset. He uses the word need. I swallow and shake my head. He looks at the door. He looks at me. He says he wants to know the time I get back, so he can cook. He frames it as care. He holds the keys and waits. I say I will text later. I step past him. He follows to the elevator. He does not speak. Doors open. We ride down. He stares at the floor counter. He says one line as we hit the lobby. It would help if your circle trusted what we have. I say they trust me. He opens his mouth, then closes it. The market runs busy. My friend hands me a coffee and a bag for greens. We sit on a bench and watch people pass. I tell her about the elevator, the wait outside the cafe, the line in the lobby, the way he names my friends as a drain. She listens and keeps her eyes on the path. A child drops a peach and laughs. She says name the night out loud now. She says send it to both threads while she sits next to me. I pull my phone. I write a message in our thread. Wednesday stay mine. No plans. No drop-ins. Friends nights. Reading nights. Laundry. Whatever I want. She nods. I send it. I send him a copy. He replies 2 minutes later with a neutral line. Sounds good. Then a second line lands. We will shift things so we do not lose momentum. The word momentum rubs like sand in my shoe. Wednesday, 6:42 p.m. My door lock opens to the sound of my friend in the hall. We head out for dumplings. He steps from the stairs with a bag at the same second. He smiles wide. He says he thought we might want dessert after dinner. He holds the bag up like a lantern. My friend meets his eyes and says we already have plans for dessert. He nods and steps back. We pass. He watches us to the elevator and then to the door. The camera later shows him at my mat for 12 seconds. He looks at the keypad and then walks away. Friday night, 7:03 p.m. I stand in the entry with one shoe on and one shoe half on. A friend texts from the sidewalk. He is outside to pick me up for a short set at a small bar. I hear his steps in the hall. He reaches my door without a sound. He knocks once. I open a crack. He says he wants to talk 15 minutes before I go. I say I will be late. He says the friend outside uses me as a buffer in rooms, and I return home drained. He asks me to stay and have tea. He frames it as care for my energy. I say I am going out. He breathes in and holds it. He steps close to the frame and lowers his voice. He says he sees who drains me. He says he thinks we should pull away from some people and build our own circle. He says my people will learn. He waits for my reply. I look at the clock. I see the friend outside shift weight from one foot to the other. My mouth feels dry. I speak one line. I pick my friends. I pick my plans. He nods. He holds both hands out, palms up, like a peace sign. He steps back. I pull the door open, slip out, and lock up. We ride the elevator with no words. He walks to the entry. He holds the door. My friend nods and watches my face. I walk past both and slide into the car. My friend asks if I want to skip. I shake my head. He pulls into traffic. I look back once at the glass. A figure stands inside the lobby with hands at his sides. The door closes on him. Night ends 2 hours later. My friend drives me home and waits while I walk to the door. He asks if I need him to come up. I say no. He taps the wheel twice and leaves. I reach my unit. I slide the key. I step in. I close the door and lean on it with both hands. The room sits quiet. I hear my heart. I breathe and count. I place my bag on the hook. I sit on the floor and untie my shoes. I think about small shifts over days. I think about how he threads himself through my plans with lines that sound like care. I think about the sentence in the lobby. Space from noise. I think about whose voice he calls noise. I pick up my phone and open a note. I write 3 lines for next week. One night set in ink. One rule that visits land only with a yes. One script for the first argument I know is coming about pace and routine. I write my side in plain words. I need space to keep my sense of self. I keep Wednesday nights. I name my friends as non-negotiable. I place the phone face down. The gallery sits on a side street with brick that holds the day's heat. Inside, light pools on white walls and matte frames. A few people move slow and quiet. No music. No wine yet. Only a table with water and thin cups. I stand near a canvas that shows a river in winter. Gray tones. Clean lines. Calm. He steps in at 6 on the dot. Jacket neat. Eyes bright. He spots me near the river and smiles like a man who knows the room. He kisses my cheek. His hand rests on my shoulder 1 beat longer than needed. He whispers my name like a secret. I breathe in and feel air slide down. Walk with me, he says. He steers toward a wall with small prints in a grid. He takes the spot beside me. He mirrors my stance without thinking. Feet set the same way. Hands at the same height. A staffer brings water. He takes both cups and places one in my hand with a flourish. He loves a small performance. We look at 6 frames in silence. Trees. A doorway. An empty bench. He leans in close to the glass. He speaks in a low tone. This feels like us. Same eye. Same pace. The words press into my chest like a thumb. I need to talk, I say. He nods, bright, ready for praise. I knew you felt the same. This is all lining up. Listen, I say. He tilts his head. Smile fixed. Eyes alert. He waits for me to pick a lane so he can match it. I face the prints and keep my voice level. I want the truth in the open. I want it plain. No scenes. No raised voices. Here works. These walls will keep us steady. He lifts a palm. Of course. We are easy together. I feel the word easy hit my ribs like a small hammer. I keep my eyes on the frames. I speak in short lines. 1. You mirror my choices to gain speed. Food. Music. Routes. Words. Clothing. You track what I name and what I do not name. He laughs soft. Charm first. We match. Some pairs match without effort. It's rare. It's good. 2. You hold back a half beat before you answer. You watch my mouth for a cue. Then you lock onto my line and call it yours. He tilts his head. I listen. That is care. 3. You place gifts without a name. You fill rooms with flowers and notes that use a pet name I did not accept. You push future talk into breakfast and dinner like you own the next month. He blinks. I went big. That is my style. Flowers are a love language. 4. You tried my door code. Twice. You smiled while you did it. You lied about a joke we never shared. His smile drops a millimeter. I made a mistake. I heard numbers one night and thought they were yours. I backed off when you asked. I heard you. 5. You brought a box of strawberry wafers 7 minutes after I said the words for the first time. Not a favorite from my past. A test detail I planted. You framed it as luck. He shifts on his feet. I passed a shop that morning. I grabbed a treat for fun. We laughed about it. It was sweet. 6. You cued a track with a 4-note rise on the exact night I planned to bring it up. I told no one. I did not say a title. You called it perfect night drive music. My line. He gives a soft shrug. We share taste. That is all. 7. You show up near me right after I post a place. You do not tag. You do not knock. You hover. You call it care in the dark. You call it safety. It feels like pressure. He looks at the frames. He places his cup on the ledge under the glass. He leans on both hands and breathes out long. The charm floats out of reach. People align, he says. People converge on the same spots. It happens. It keeps happening when I leave a trail. It fades when I go quiet. I keep my tone soft. Calm cuts deeper than heat. A couple steps between us and the wall, then moves on. He lowers his voice to a whisper. You want me to slow down? I will slow down. I will shrink gifts. I will ask before I plan. I will time my messages. Tell me the exact rules. I will follow every one. You already know my rules, I say. You heard them when I spoke them. You heard them when I wrote them. You heard them when I said no to the keypad and no to the drop-ins. You heard them and you slid around them. His mouth tightens. The denial arrives on cue. Coincidence piled on coincidence. You are reading into small things. You are tired from work. Your friends plant doubt. They feed fear because they want more of you. That is their pattern, not mine. I stand straight and fold my hands. I keep my eyes on the print. A door in shadow. A step in light. The line between both sits sharp and thin. He moves closer. We have something rare. Do not break it with spreadsheets and traps. Feel it. Trust it. I turn to face him. If you like me. Not my reflection. He blinks hard. The line lands. It lands clean. His chest lifts. Falls. He reaches for my wrist. I step back. He stops. His face goes soft in a way that looks like grief and acts like leverage. Tears arrive without tears at first. Voice cracks. Lower lip trembles. He talks about old hurt. He says he learned to watch close because past lovers hid things. He says match keeps fear quiet. He says he needs match to breathe. I am not your cure, I say. He nods fast. I know. I fix my own past. I swear. Give me a list. Give me a script. I will meet it beat for beat. I do not want a script, I say. I want space. I want choice. I want a pace that starts with me and not your need. He looks over my shoulder, then back. He weighs tactics. Tears rise for real now. He presses fingers to the corners of his eyes. He breathes like a man who lost a dog on a long road. You are leaving, he says. I am naming what is true, I say. A pattern sits here. I see it. I wrote it down. I feel it in my body. My friends feel it when you step into plans that do not hold your name. He grabs for charm again. I bring food. I bring light. I keep you safe at doors. I help with the small things. I lift weight from your days. You stack weight on my nights, I say. Flowers at the mat. Notes without my name. Plans that swallow other plans. Walks that start as drops and turn into hours. A staffer drifts near. She pretends to check labels. Her eyes flick from my face to his. She stands within earshot. He notices. He straightens. He smooths his shirt. He smiles at the staffer with both rows of teeth. We are fine, he says to her. She nods once and slides away. He turns back to me. The smile falls from his mouth like a cut string. What do you want right now? He asks. Tell me so I stop guessing. Truth in the open, I say. You do not love my taste. You love the rush of wearing my taste. You love the speed that gives. You love the control that hides inside agreement. You love the quiet power of leading me with my own words. He flinches. That is not fair. It is accurate. He shakes his head. He laughs one hard breath without sound. His eyes shine. He steps closer by an inch. Say I am wrong about one thing. Give me one miss. I will show you how I learn. This is not a quiz, I say. This is my life. He reaches for my hand again. Slow this time. Careful. I let his fingers touch air and no more. You keep pace with me, I say. You do not set my pace. Not anymore. He looks past me at the river canvas. He softens his voice. We felt good in the car. We felt good in your kitchen. We felt good in bed. Stop, I say. I do not raise my voice. He stops. We felt good when my choice led. I add. When your echo followed. Then you pushed. You wrapped the echo around me like a soft rope and called it care. He winces. He stares at the floor. A drop hits the back of his hand. He wipes it with his thumb. A couple steps by again. The room shifts. A new group enters. Light moves across frames as the door opens and shuts. He gathers himself and tries one more route. I will fix it. I will book a session. I will show you progress. I will give you access to my notes. I will prove I hear you. No, I say. Prove it to yourself. Prove it to a stranger with a license. Prove it with time I do not see. My job is not your repair. So this ends here, he says. This pattern ends here, I say. The rest depends on what you do when I step back. He wipes his face. He nods like a man at a sentence he hates. He breathes in slow. He looks calm again. Calm sits wrong on him now. Walk outside with me, he says. Air helps. I look at the exit. I nod once. We move toward the door. He stays one step ahead and then slows so our shoulders line up. He opens the door and holds it. Night slides over my skin like a cool sheet. Streetlight hums. A bus rolls past and leaves a low growl in the air. We stand under the awning. People flow by. He stares at the ground for a long beat. He steps closer. He keeps his hands at his sides. I do not know how to stop wanting you near, he says. Wanting me near is not the same as keeping me near by wearing me, I say. He nods. He takes that in. He looks up and tries to arrange his face into something I trust. It fails. Do you want to ride home? He says. No, I say. I will walk. He nods again. He starts to speak. He stops. He tries a smile. He gives up. He whispers the pet name in a way that tries to bait my heart. Use my name, I say. He swallows. He uses my name. It sounds right again for 1 second, and then wrong. He steps back like the ground shifted an inch under his shoes. I turn toward the street. My chest beats hard but even. I take 1 step. He speaks behind me. Tell me when you get home, he says. I will not come up. I swear. No, I say. No more check-ins outside plans. No more drop-ins. No more late knocks. No more gifts I did not request. My door. My feed. My night. He raises both hands. He tips his head. I hear you. Good, I say. I walk. I keep my pace slow and set by my breath. I catch my reflection in a dark window. A single figure moves in clean lines. No twin. No echo. At the corner I stop and look both ways. Head left. Head right. Cross on the light. Air tastes like rain on brick. The city hums low. I do not look back. Halfway to my block, I pull my phone and type 1 line to a friend. Home in 10. She sends a heart and a short line. I am up. At my building I pause under the entry light. I breathe 3 slow rounds. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. I step inside. The lobby sits empty. The elevator opens without a wait. I ride up with my hand on the rail. My heart stays high but steady. My door looks the same as it looked an hour ago. Mat straight. Lock untouched. No paper tucked under. I slide the key. I enter. I lock both locks. I stand and listen. Pipes. A footstep far away. A car horn 3 blocks over. My breath. I walk to the sink and drink a full glass of water. My hands shake, then stop. I place the glass on the counter and press my palms flat on wood. Heat drains from my face. The room settles. I do not post. I do not text him. I do not check the camera feed. I sit in the chair by the window and let my pulse return to its usual beat. A print on my wall catches street glow. The line down the middle looks like a cut, and also like a road. I think about the words I used and the words I left out. I did not bring up the list from my notebook. I did not bring up time gaps or pings or routes. I did not bring up old tags or new angles. I kept it on behavior I could speak without charts. That was enough. A small part of me wants to run back and ease his face. That part can wait in another room. I stay seated and hold 2 truths. He feels pain. I feel relief. Both exist. My job is my safety and my pace. My phone buzzes on the table. A friend again. One line. Proud of you. I send a heart. I stand and close the blind. I switch off the lamp. I walk to the bedroom and sit on the edge of the bed. My shoulders drop. My jaw releases. I lie back and stare at the ceiling. The fan cuts slow arcs through air. My body hums from the talk. That hum will fade. The record stays. I speak one line in the dark. If you like me, like me. Not my reflection. Hearing it out loud helps fix it in place. I roll to my side. I curl my hand under the pillow and breathe. Street noise thins. Sleep comes on foot, not at a run. Morning after the gallery. No message. No knock. No story view. Air sits still from kitchen to hall. I stretch. I drink water. I read one page. I go to work and keep my phone face down in a drawer. 12:04 p.m. First buzz. Then 5 more in a row. I open the screen. A block of messages stacks high. Sorry lines. Long texts with clean grammar and soft voice. He writes about sleep loss and a stomach in knots. He asks for lunch near my office. He lists 3 places I like. He ends with a photo of a table set for 2. I lock the phone and walk outside. 1:11 p.m. 10 more messages. Voice notes arrive. Each under a minute. He says he hears me. He says pace will slow. He says flowers were amiss. He tells a short story about a coach who taught him how to read people fast. He calls that skill a shield. I hear my own phrases threaded through. I save none of it. 2:32 p.m. shift in tone. He sends a single sentence with a sharp edge. He says my friends feed fear. He says we felt right until they stepped in. I do not answer. He sends a heart 5 minutes later. Then a photo from a river view. He writes a line that matches my caption from last week. Same 4 words. Same order. No credit. For 18 p.m. apology again. He writes about old hurt and how match helps him breathe. He writes about a list he drew up after the talk. He says he will share it if I ask. He drops a new pet name and deletes it 1 minute later. He follows with my real name and a promise to use only that. He adds a second promise. No gifts unless asked. 5:07 p.m. I leave the office. Late sun hits glass and brick. My phone pings 4 times in a row. He sends screenshots of a calendar with open blocks. He offers to hand me days to pick from. He marks each empty slot with stars. He adds a caption. Your pace sets the frame. I pocket the phone and take the train. 6:15 p.m. I unlock my door and step in. Low light. No flowers. Counter clear. I set the phone on the table and turn it face down. I stand at the window and watch the courtyard. A man walks a small dog. A kid tosses a ball. I breathe slow. 6:43 p.m. Another shift. He sends a paragraph with heat. He says I misread care as control. He says precision in daily life brings peace. He says my sheet and my notes poison that peace. He asks why I prefer to study love instead of feel it. He ends with a question mark and no space for my answer. I do not reply. 7:12 p.m. He posts a story on his feed. First frame shows a table with a glass and a book. The book sits square with the edge. He covers the corner with his thumb to hide the title. A line floats over the shot. 2 words. Late light. I used those words last week under a river photo. He uses my font choice and my spacing. Next frame shows a door keypad close-up. His caption reads, Trust matters. Third frame shows a pair of jackets on a hook. One shade matches a piece in my closet. He writes, Pairs work when lines meet. He never used that style before we met. He learned it from my feed. I feel heat in my throat. I put the phone face down again and walk to the sink. 8:01 p.m. He sends a long text. He quotes 2 lines I used during the talk. He calls the quotes his own insight that came to him on the walk home. He adds a final line that hits like a thrown stone. I'm what you want. I learned you. I read it twice. I close the thread. 8:19 p.m. He tries a new move. He sends a photo of a legal pad with a neat list. Boundaries in block letters. Each point echoes words from my notes. No gifts without a yes. No late visits. No code guesses. No mirrors in clothing. No track repeats on drives. He draws empty boxes next to each line as if progress lives there. He draws a box under those boxes. Proof. He asks for a call to walk through the list. I lock the phone. 9:03 p.m. door camera ping. A figure passes the lens. Hoodie up. shoulders like his. He stops near my mat and looks down. No box sits there. He bends to touch the corner of my doormat. He lifts it 1 inch and sets it down. He stands and places 2 fingers on my door handle. A light grip. No turn. He holds for 1 second. He drops his hand and leaves. I watch the clip twice. I save it to the folder with dates and times. I sit on the floor with my back to the door and breathe. 9:27 p.m. He sends a photo of a bench near the river. Empty. He writes about hollow seats and how rooms echo when one person steps away. He writes about work stress and wants me to say the word safe. He asks for it. He writes say safe and I will sleep. I silence the thread for 8 hours. 10:11 p.m. I heat soup. I eat at the counter. I wash the bowl and set it to dry. I do not turn on music. I sit in the chair with lights off. I hold my phone without looking at the screen. Breath in, breath out. I stay there until my shoulders drop. 11:04 p.m. A friend texts. She asks if I need a call. I type back 2 words. Quiet helps. She sends a heart. She adds, text me if anything changes. 11:31 p.m. His story updates again. A black frame with white text. He writes about growth and how some people fear it. He writes about grace for mistakes. He writes about how alignment saves time. He writes about the world outside and how noise breaks pairs in 2. He ends with a line I wrote to him a month ago about sleep and peace. Same words. Same commas. He never quotes me. He lets followers assume his voice made those sentences. I watch views climb from names I know. I lock the phone and place it face down on the table. 12:06 a.m. Another door ping. Same figure returns. He stops at my door and freezes like someone who forgot why he walked a room. He tilts his head. He lifts his hand to the handle. He does not turn. He reaches down and pushes my package 2 inches closer to the door. The label shows my name in clear print. He looks up at the camera with a small smile that feels wrong. Then he leaves. My hands shake. I place the phone on the table and press my palms to wood. 12:22 a.m. buzz from my thread with him even though I muted. He uses the call button. I let it ring to the end. He calls again. I reject the call. He leaves a voice note. He speaks in a low, soft tone. He says he is outside and wants to make sure no one took my package. He says he saw a man in the hall. He says he moved the box closer to keep it safe. He says he is going back up to his unit. He asks me to text when I open the box so his head will stop spinning. I do not reply. 12:41 a.m. I open the box in the kitchen. Dish soap, paper towels, a small bag of coffee. I ordered all of it this morning. No gift inside. No note. I write the times in my notebook. I note his hand on the handle in a single line. I breathe. I place the box by the bin. 1:03 a.m. His story shows one more frame. A mirror selfie. He wears a jacket in a shade I told him I avoid. He writes, new color for a new way. He angles the shot so a chair looks like mine in the corner. He blurs the edge where wall meets frame. He adds a song from a band I like. Not the 4-note track. A deep cut. I used it once. He keeps volume low in the clip, so only people with that song in their head will catch it. I catch it. I close the app. I sleep late. I wake to light on the ceiling and the quiet sound of the fan. My phone holds 14 unread messages. He writes a good morning with a sun emoji. He writes a second line about coffee and a walk. He writes a third line about a bench by the water where we talked last month. He follows with a photo of an empty seat. He ends with a line about how he will wait there if I want to meet. I do not. 10:19 a.m. A new angle. He texts a photo of a printed page with bullet points. He titles it, Plan to Earn Trust. He writes steps with dates. He writes check-ins with times. He uses my phrases from chapter notes. He draws a small box beside each promise. He draws stars next to the boxes. He writes a line at the bottom. Proof beats talk. He wants praise for a system built from my words. I say nothing. 11:07 a.m. He texts my friend. She sends me a screenshot of his message. He writes a polite note about worry and asks if I slept. He frames it as care for my health. She replies with one sentence. Contact her only if invited. He replies with a heart and nothing else. She forwards me both messages. I thank her. I tell her I will be offline for a few hours. She writes, I am here. Noon. I take a long walk on a route with shops and dogs and kids on scooters. I buy nothing. I stop for 10 minutes on a bench. I look at a tree that drops light through leaves and small coins. I count my breaths. I check my phone once at the end. He wrote 3 more lines. He says the gallery talk stayed with him. He says he can meet any pace. He says he misses my face. I slip the phone into my pocket and walk home. 2:29 p.m. I post a photo of my kitchen table with a book and a glass of water. No geotag. No caption. I watch story views. His name appears first. His reply arrives in under 1 minute. A heart. Then a line. Empty tables hurt. I set the phone down. 3:12 p.m. He texts a confession dressed as growth. He writes about the keypad. He writes about the flowers. He writes about the box of wafers. He outlines each event in clean, simple lines. He admits each step. He ends by asking for a chance to prove change. He writes, 1 week at your pace to show you who I am. He writes my name 3 times in 1 paragraph. 4:05 p.m. His feed shows a new story. He records a short video where he sits by a window with low light on his face. He speaks to camera about pace and choice and respect. He borrows my language from the talk and my notes. He uses the word mirror once and frames it as a tool for empathy. He does not use my name. He wants praise from people who do not know the room he walked last night. 6:41 p.m. door camera ping. A courier drops a small package for an upstairs neighbor on my map by mistake. 10 minutes pass. He appears, picks it up, reads the label, and carries it upstairs. 2 minutes later he returns and crouches by my mat. He runs a finger along the edge, where the door meets the frame. He looks at the keypad and smiles. Then he leaves. I log it. 7:20 p.m. He sends a line about dinner at his place. He writes that he picked a dish I like. He writes that he laid out plates on the table we set last week. He writes a second line when I do not reply. He asks if I want him to bring food to my door and leave it without a knock. I answer with 5 words. No food. No visits. No drop-ins. He replies, I hear you. 8:03 p.m. He tries a pivot. He writes about books. He asks for a title I recommend. I send none. He writes about a run. He logs his time and pace. He writes about a photo series he saw online. He calls the series mid, but says 1 frame hit hard. He sends a screenshot. The frame shows a person at a window with a plant on a sill. Angle matches my shot style. He adds 2 words. Felt familiar. I place the phone face down. 9:17 p.m. I switch lights off and sit on the floor with my back to the couch. Phone in my hand. Screen dark. Breath slow. I wait for my pulse to drop. It drops. I stand and lock the door again. I check the chain. I look through the peephole. Empty hall. I sit in the chair by the window and hold the phone without opening it. 10:09 p.m. He sends a last text for the night. He writes a line about a book he pulled from his shelf. He writes my line from last month about small rooms and calm air. Same order. Same stop marks. He adds a photo of a page where he underlined a sentence. He writes that he wants to talk tomorrow. He writes, pick a time and place. He ends with my name. I open notes and write a short plan for morning. 1 line to send. 1 place to meet if needed, in daylight, public, 10 minutes only. 1 friend on standby with the time and the spot. No story posts before or after. No geotags. No mention of the talk on feeds. I write my line for him in 12 words. No lists. No scripts. 1 request. Silence for a week. I fill a glass at the sink. I drink half. I turn off the tap. I place the glass on the counter. I walk to the door and press my ear to the wood. No sound. I walk back to the chair. I sit and hold the phone until my hand stops shaking. The night thins. Street noise fades. I do not sleep yet. I let each message fade from my head like rain on glass. 1 by 1. The apology. The flare. The list. The story copy. The handle touch. The package push. All logged. None answered. I speak 1 line into a memo, so I do not lose my own voice in the stack. Calm tone. Clean words. Silent hours broke into a flood. He tried to borrow my lines. He touched my door without permission. He staged proof for eyes on a screen. I end the memo. I save it with a date and time. I lie down on the couch. I pull the throw over my legs. I keep the phone on the table out of reach. Breath in. Breath out. Sleep comes in slow steps. Morning. 7:12 a.m. I wake to light at the edge of the blind. I check the camera log. No pings after midnight. Relief lands. I make coffee. I sit at the table and write the 12 words for him on a small card. I leave out extra. I leave out old scenes. I leave out any path that invites a loop. I hold the card to the light. I place it flat on the table. Phone buzz. His name on the screen. One message. Good morning and a question mark. I set the phone down. I breathe slow. I pick up the card and tap it against the table 3 times. Opening fact. Mirroring moves fastest when details sit in plain view. Tastes. Routes. Phrases. Wardrobe lines. A person copies, then presents those copies as shared soul. The copy lands smooth. Your body reads ease. Your calendar starts to match theirs. Here is how to spot it early and how to slow it without giving a playbook to anyone who seeks control. Mirroring types and tells. Taste mirroring. Food, music, movies, books. The echo arrives in the same order you named earlier in the week. Watch for a half-beat pause before agreement. Watch for a smile after you speak, then a near-copy reply with one word swapped. Routine mirroring. Gym hours, run loops, market trips, favorite seats. The person runs into you within short windows after posts or texts. Arrival repeats across spots linked to your daily life. Language mirroring. Your phrases reappear in text or speech, spacing included. Quotes lift from your captions or notes and return as their insight. Values mirroring. Stances match yours without detail. Answers feel polished. Fast alignment on big items without follow-up questions. Intimacy mirroring. Pet names before permission. Gifts without names. Future talk threaded into meals. Boundary tests framed as care. Cycle and escalation map. Step 1, agreement flood. Every choice matches yours. Same order. Same tone. Step 2, pace pressure. Daily plans slide toward shared calendars. Quality time pulls you from friends. Step 3, gift surge. Flowers at the mat. Food at the door. Notes with pet names. No request first. Step 4, boundary tests. Late knocks. Door handle touches. Code guesses framed as jokes. Unasked photos and posts that mirror your style. Step 5, push-pull. Apologies, hearts, lists of promises. Then public posts that borrow your words. Then fresh pressure to meet. Your defense kit. Goal. Protect choice and pace without turning life into a siege. No tactics for harm. Only steps for safety and clarity. A. 7-day log for patterns. Set up one sheet with these fields. Date. A post time and type, or no post day. Story view time. First reply time. Arrival within 2 hours, yes or no. Place tied to the post, if any. Door camera pings near those times. Notes in plain words. Rules for the log. Enter raw times only. No labels like creepy or fine. Mark anything under 5 minutes between post and first reply. Mark any arrival near tag spots. Flag any door ping within 2 hours after a post. Add days with silence to test base rate. Result after a week. You will see clusters. Fast replies tied to posts with place hints. You will see quieter days when no posts go out. You will see whether unplanned arrivals still occur when feeds stay quiet. B. Timestamp method for private signals. Use voice memos or a small notebook. Speak or write simple seeds for your own record. Do not announce them. Example entries. Monday 9:12 p.m. Plan to mention an old song on Friday if needed. Wednesday 8:40 a.m. Plant no detail today. You are not baiting. You are creating anchors for memory. When an echo appears without your prompt, the timestamp keeps you honest with yourself. C. Baseline friend check. Pick one person who knows you're normal. Set a weekly call. Share 3 items only. One event that fell off with times. One boundary you held. One plan for the next 7 days that protects pace. Your friend's job is narrow. Reflect tone. Ask whether you felt free. Hold you to your plan. No debates about motives. D. Boundary scripts. Short lines. Present tense. No essays. No defense speeches. Memorize 6. No visits without a yes from me first. Use my name. No gifts at my door. No surprise drop-ins. Meet only on agreed times. Do not touch my lock. I pick one night each week for myself. It stays off limits. Delivery rules. Say the line once. If the person argues, repeat the line once more. If push continues, pause the visit or end the call. E. Pace control. Use 2 tools. Delay posts by 6 to 24 hours. Set a routine where photos go up after the fact. Leave geotags off for home and daily routes. Share the river after you return, not while you watch it. Set a no-plan window each week. Choose a night. Write it in ink. Tell your friend and the person you date. Examples. Wednesdays stay mine. Sundays noon to 6 stay open. Treat this as sleep or work. Non-negotiable. F. Home and door safety. Change the code if anyone touched the pad. Remove spare keys from obvious spots. Angle the door camera at waist height to catch hands near the handle. Keep a small wedge by the door for nights alone. Tell one neighbor you trust to text you if someone waits near your mat. G. Digital hygiene. Turn off location sharing in chat apps unless a plan needs it. Prune followers to people you know offline. Archive story highlights that show routines. Use strong passwords and two-factor on email and social accounts. Review shared albums and calendars for surprise guests. H. Calm body signals. Your body speaks first. Track 3 signals. Breath rises into the chest during certain asks. Shoulders lift near the door or the phone. Jaw tightens while reading a thread. Note time and trigger. If these signals stack around one person, treat that as data. You do not need a debate to honor your own sensors. What to say when pressure arrives. Case 1. Pressure to skip a friend plan. Line. I keep this plan. I will see you another day. Case 2. Pressure to post or share live locations. Line. I post after. No live shares. Case 3. Gifts arrive without a name. Line at the door with the giver present. No unasked gifts. Take these with you. If items sit at your mat without a person present, bring them inside for safety, then message. Do not leave items at my door. Case 4. Door handle tests or code guesses. Line. Do not touch my lock. This ended the moment your hand hit the pad. Action log time. Change code. Inform building staff. Tell your friend. No late night talks about intent. Case 5. Public framing or posts that borrow your lines. Line in private. Do not quote my words as your insight. Stop using my phrases. Action if posts escalate. Limit who sees your stories. Set your account to private for a month. Screen new follow requests with care. When to seek outside help. Building staff. Use for repeated late visits, door handle tests, or loitering near entries. Ask for a note on file. Provide times and clips. Ask them to alert security to watch your floor. Non-emergency police line. Use for repeated uninvited contact that causes fear. Prepare. A one-page timeline with dates and times. Screenshots of messages. Door camera clips. A short list of witnesses who saw drop-ins or waits. Ask how to file an incident report. Keep a copy. You are not overreacting. You are creating a record. Protective order. If threshold is met. Key elements often include unwanted contact, pattern, and fear. Laws differ by place. A legal aid clinic or advocacy group will walk you through forms and next steps. Bring logs, screenshots, and any staff notes. If unsure, call an advocate line and describe events in plain words. Keep future contact in public spaces while you sort options. Meeting rules during a reset. If you choose to meet for a talk after conflict, set these terms. A daylight, public, 10 minutes, short script. Arrive and leave on your own. No rides, no walks home. One friend on standby with the time and spot. And no new topics outside the narrow goal. End on time even if the other person starts a fresh story. How to write a short script for a reset. Use 12 to 20 words. No lists. One request. Examples. No drop-ins for 1 week. We text for plans. No gifts or notes. Respect the door. 1 week of no contact. I will message if I want to resume. Do not argue finer points. State the line. End the meet. Log the outcome. How to tell if change holds. Look for these 3 signs over 2 weeks. And no late pings at your door. Replies slow to a normal pace without prompting. Plans respect your no-plan window without push. If any of these fail more than once, treat the pattern as present. You are not required to repeat your line more than twice. Silence is an answer as well. Missed calls equal data. What to keep and what to throw away. Keep. Logs with times. Clips with hands near your handle. Screenshots of borrowed phrases, public posts, and mirrored photos. Notes from staff or neighbors. Throw away. Gifts that arrive without consent. Notes without your name. Printed lists from the other person that promise progress. These lists often recycle your own words. Your internal checklist. Daily. Breathe and scan your body once in the morning and once at night. A check locks in code. A post with delay. Send one check-in to your friend if anything odd occurs. Weekly. Hold your night in ink. Update your log. Review cameras for the days you posted. Clean your follow list. A reset passwords every 3 months. Scripts for friends who want to help. Give them lines so support stays simple. To you. I hear you. You set the pace. I back your plan. Want me on the phone while you check the hall. Want me to sit with you during a call to staff. To the other person, if contact routes through a friend. Contact goes to her only if invited. Do not discuss her plans with me. Signs the mirror aims for control, not closeness. Copy appears before you name a preference. Arrival lines up with posts over and over. A gifts feel like refunds for your no. Pet names replace your name after you asked for your name. A locks draw hands. Codes draw guesses. Friends draw blame. Scripts for exit. Use one. Keep it short. This connection does not work for me. Do not contact me. Stop all visits and messages. I will not reply. Further contact goes through legal channels. Send once by text or email so you have a record. Block after you send. Tell your friend the time you sent it. Log any new attempts. What to expect after a hard line. Possible moves from the other person. Message flood with mixed tones. A public posts that echo your style. A door presence without knocks. Third-party contact framed as care. A soft return to old mirrors. Your responses stay the same. No replies. A save and log. A tell your ally if any visit occurs. A follow your safety plan. A short note on self-talk. Use clear phrases with no judgment. My senses read the room. I keep my own pace. I do not need to prove pain to earn space. I set lines once and I keep them. Quick checklist. Build a 7-day log with times. Set one no-plan window each week. A delay posts and strip geotags. Memorize 6 boundary lines. A change codes after any touch. Alert staff for repeated visits. Share a narrow plan with one friend. Keep evidence. Discard gifts. Use a short exit script if needed. Arrest. Eat. Walk in light. Sleep with the phone on mute. A turn-off location sharing in chat apps unless a plan needs it. Prune followers to people you know offline. Archive story highlights that show routines. Use strong passwords and 2-factor on email and social accounts. A review shared albums and calendars for surprise guests. Calm body signals. Your body speaks first. Track 3 signals. Breath rises into the chest during certain asks. Shoulders lift near the door or the phone. Jaw tightens while reading a thread. Note time and trigger. If these signals stack around one person, treat that as data. You do not need a debate to honor your own sensors. What to say when pressure arrives. Case 1. Pressure to skip a friend plan. Line. I keep this plan. I will see you another day. Case 2. Pressure to post or share live locations. Line. I post after. No live shares. Case 3. Gifts arrive without a name. Line at the door with the giver present. No unasked gifts. Take these with you. If items sit at your mat without a person present, bring them inside for safety, then message. Do not leave items at my door. Case 4. Door handle tests or code guesses. Line. Do not touch my lock. This ended the moment your hand hit the pad. Action log time. Change code. Inform building staff. Tell your friend. No late night talks about intent. Case 5. Public framing or posts that borrow your lines. Line in private. Do not quote my words as your insight. Stop using my phrases. Action if posts escalate. Limit who sees your stories. Set your account to private for a month. Screen new follow requests with care. When to seek outside help. Building staff. Use for repeated late visits, door handle tests, or loitering near entries. Ask for a note on file. Provide times and clips. Ask them to alert security to watch your floor. Non-emergency police line. Use for repeated uninvited contact that causes fear. Prepare. A 1-page timeline with dates and times. A screenshots of messages. A door camera clips. A short list of witnesses who saw drop-ins or waits. Ask how to file an incident report. Keep a copy. You are not overreacting. You are creating a record. Protective order. If threshold is met. Key elements often include unwanted contact, pattern, and fear. Laws differ by place. A legal aid clinic or advocacy group will walk you through forms and next steps. Bring logs, screenshots, and any staff notes. If unsure, call an advocate line and describe events in plain words. Keep future contact in public spaces while you sort options. Meeting rules during a reset. If you choose to meet for a talk after conflict, set these terms. A daylight, public, 10 minutes, short script. Arrive and leave on your own. No rides, no walks home. One friend on standby with the time and spot. And no new topics outside the narrow goal. End on time even if the other person starts a fresh story. How to write a short script for a reset. Use 12 to 20 words. No lists. One request. Examples. No drop-ins for 1 week. We text for plans. No gifts or notes. Respect the door. 1 week of no contact. I will message if I want to resume. Do not argue finer points. State the line. End the meet. Log the outcome. How to tell if change holds. Look for these 3 signs over 2 weeks. And no late pings at your door. Replies slow to a normal pace without prompting. Plans respect your no-plan window without push. If any of these fail more than once, treat the pattern as present. You are not required to repeat your line more than twice. Silence is an answer as well. Missed calls equal data. What to keep and what to throw away. Keep. A logs with times. Clips with hands near your handle. Screenshots of borrowed phrases, public posts, and mirrored photos. A notes from staff or neighbors. Throw away. A gifts that arrive without consent. A notes without your name. Printed lists from the other person that promise progress. These lists often recycle your own words. Your internal checklist. Daily. Breathe and scan your body once in the morning and once at night. A check locks in code. A post with delay. Send one check-in to your friend if anything odd occurs. Weekly. Hold your night in ink. Update your log. Review cameras for the days you posted. Clean your follow list. A reset passwords every 3 months. Scripts for friends who want to help. Give them lines so support stays simple. To you. I hear you. You set the pace. I back your plan. Want me on the phone while you check the hall. Want me to sit with you during a call to staff. To the other person, if contact routes through a friend. Contact goes to her only if invited. Do not discuss her plans with me. Signs the mirror aims for control, not closeness. Copy appears before you name a preference. Arrival lines up with posts over and over. A gifts feel like refunds for your no. Pet names replace your name after you asked for your name. A locks draw hands. Codes draw guesses. Friends draw blame. Scripts for exit. Use one. Keep it short. This connection does not work for me. Do not contact me. Stop all visits and messages. I will not reply. Further contact goes through legal channels. Send once by text or email so you have a record. Block after you send. Tell your friend the time you sent it. Log any new attempts. What to expect after a hard line. Possible moves from the other person. Message flood with mixed tones. A public posts that echo your style. A door presence without knocks. Third-party contact framed as care. A soft return to old mirrors. Your responses stay the same. No replies. A save and log. A tell your ally if any visit occurs. A follow your safety plan. A short note on self-talk. Use clear phrases with no judgment. My senses read the room. I keep my own pace. I do not need to prove pain to earn space. I set lines once and I keep them. Quick checklist. Build a 7-day log with times. Set one no-plan window each week. A delay posts and strip geotags. Memorize 6 boundary lines. A change codes after any touch. Alert staff for repeated visits. Share a narrow plan with one friend. Keep evidence. Discard gifts. Use a short exit script if needed. Arrest. Eat. Walk in light. Sleep with the phone on mute. 7:04 a.m. I clear the table. Laptop open. Printer on. Folders ready. I stack paper by type. Screenshots. Message logs. Door clips. A timeline in 1 line per event. I label tabs with a marker. Posts. Replies. Arrivals. Door. Calls. I line a thumb drive beside the stack. 7:16 a.m. I pull dates from the sheet. No stories. No feelings. Only time. I print a 1-page index for quick scan. I number each page in black ink. I tape small flags on 3 items I will reference first. I breathe. I keep pace with my plan. 7:23 a.m. The first set holds chat screenshots with full time stamps. I crop nothing. I draw a thin box around 2 messages where phrases mirror mine. I add a margin note. Lifted line. I mark the evening where he typed the sentence about learning me. I print and place both pages under messages. 7:34 a.m. The second set holds door camera stills. I export frames with hands near the handle. I pull stills of late visits with no knock. I export a short clip index with times to match the stills. I set these under door. 7:49 a.m. The third set holds posts and replies. I print captions with date and hour. I paste a small strip under each with first reply time. I add a column for arrival within 2 hours. Yes or no. I highlight 2 rows where a reply and a citing align tight. I place this under posts. 8:02 a.m. The fourth set holds the drive night. The page shows a memo title with the date and time I logged the plan. It shows a short note on the hook he played that night. Below sits a still of the car screen with the time stamp in the corner. Dates align. Times align. I place this under timeline. 8:19 a.m. The fifth set holds the wafer morning. I do not print photos of cookies. I print the index page with seed time and response time. 7 minutes. I add a note that the box arrived with breakfast. I keep it plain. I place this under timeline. 8:28 a.m. The sixth set holds the keypad night. I print a still of fingers near the pad. I print my own message after, where I named the line. Do not touch my lock. I place both under door. 8:39 a.m. A deep breath. I stack the sets under their tabs. I slide the pages into a thin binder. I write a title on the spine, month and my unit number. I fill a small envelope with the thumb drive and label it with the same date. I pack both into my tote with a pen and a pad. 8:51 a.m. group chat with the 2 friends. I write a short note. Meeting today with building staff to log concerns. I give time and office location in the lobby. I ask for 1 witness in person, 1 on standby by phone. Both reply in under a minute. One says she will meet me at 12:20 by the front desk. The other says she will stay near her phone and record times of calls if any arrive. 9:07 a.m. I email the building office to request a sit-down for a log. I include my unit number and a sentence on the goal. Calm documentation. No accusation. They reply at 9:19 with a slot at 12:30. They ask me to bring any dates and times I want on file. I reply with a yes and add my phone number. 9:51 a.m. I print 1 more page. A short summary with 2 columns. Date on the left. Entry on the right in 10 words or less. No labels. No color. I slide it into the binder front pocket. I check the spine title again. It reads clean. 10:23 a.m. I call my friend with the quick read. I give her the time and place. I outline the plan in 3 steps. Give the binder to staff. Ask for a note on file. Ask for camera retention on hall footage that matches my times. She says she will wait in a cafe 1 block away. She will walk in if I text a word we choose. I pick a word and text it to her. She repeats it back. I breathe easier. 11:06 a.m. I eat toast and an egg. I drink water. I pack tissues for hands that shake. I put the notebook in my tote. I check the door. I lock it and walk to the elevator. 11:28 a.m. Lobby sits quiet. A plant by the window. A guard at a desk. I sit on a bench and watch the entry. I scan faces without staring. A neighbor waves. I wave back. My phone buzzes with a text from him. Good afternoon with a sun emoji. I let it sit. 12:18 p.m. My friend arrives on time. She hugs me quick. No questions. She sits beside me. We look at the wall art to kill minutes. She taps my knee once. She says I am not overreacting. Then silence again. We stand when the office door opens. 12:30 p.m. The property manager greets us in a small room with 2 chairs and a table. He smiles in a professional way. He asks for my unit number. I give it. He explains their process. They keep notes on file and escalate if patterns rise. He does not rush my setup. I place the binder on the table. I keep my hands still. I open to the first tab. I do not narrate every line. I use the summary page. I speak clear and slow. Here is the record. Here is the pattern. I place the binder so he sees the index. I point to times where door clips match late visits. I point to the keypad still with wrong tones. I point to 3 dates where he waited near my mat and left without a knock. I add 2 dates where he moved a parcel that did not belong to him. I end with the night where I spoke my line at the gallery. He asks 1 question at a time. He asks whether I share a unit with the person. I say no. He asks if he lives in the twin building. I say yes. He asks if any direct threats landed. I say no. I add that fear rose on nights with door pings and no message. He writes this in his words on a form. He asks for times. I give specific timestamps. He reads each back and repeats them into his notes. He asks for permission to flag both unit numbers for courtesy checks if late visits continue. I say yes. He offers to note my request for camera retention for a short window. I give the date range. He writes it into the form and reads the exact times back. His tone stays even. My friend sits beside me with her phone dark. He asks for copies. I slide the thumb drive across the table. He sets it aside and writes a receipt number on a small sheet. He passes me the sheet. He places a copy in the folder. He gives me a copy of the incident form with an internal case ID in the corner. He reads the ID out loud. I write it on my pad. He explains what happens next. Staff will alert security to walk the hall during peak hours this week. The manager will email me once the retention request lands in the system. If any fresh event occurs at the door, I should call the desk and give the case ID first. He looks at my face to check for comprehension. I nod once. My voice holds steady. I ask a single follow-up. I ask for a note in the file instructing couriers to avoid stacking deliveries at my unit. He agrees and writes it while we sit. He asks whether I want him to reach out to the other resident. I pause. I say not yet. I say I prefer a note on the file first and a response plan for late visits. He nods. He places both hands on the table in an open way. He thanks me for clear records. He stands. We stand. We shake hands. I pick up the binder and place it in the tote. We step back into the lobby. My friend and I stand near the window for a minute. Sun slides across the floor. I feel a small drop in my shoulders. 12:56 p.m. outside. We sit on a low wall. I text a photo of the case ID to the friend on standby. She replies with a heart and the time stamp. I open our 3-person thread and write a short line. Filed. Case ID in the photo above. If a late visit happens, I will call the desk and then text here. 1:04 p.m. We agree on witness roles. If a message flood arrives tied to a door ping, friend A will write the times in the thread. If I go quiet after a late ping, friend B will call me within 5 minutes. If no answer, she will call the desk using the case ID and ask for a check on my floor. Both type back the plan in their own words so we leave no gaps. 1:12 p.m. A new thread opens with my 2 friends and 1 neighbor from my floor who offered help once. I ask if she wants to be looped for daytime only. She says yes. I share the case ID and the building office phone number. She asks for a code word text if I need a knock from a known face. I pick one and send it now. She repeats it back to lock it in. 1:23 p.m. I open my notes app. I copy the summary page into a fresh document titled for this month. I share it with friend A and friend B only. I keep the binder with me for now. I mark 2 dates on my paper calendar to follow up on the retention request and the case status. 1:41 p.m. We walk to a cafe with seats by the window. We sit and eat simple food. We say little. My friend watches my hands settle around a cup. She does not pull the talk back into old scenes. She asks 2 questions. Is there anything else for today? Do you want company this evening? I say I want a quiet night. She nods. She stands and squeezes my shoulder. 2:07 p.m. I send a short email to myself with the case ID in the subject and the office note in the body. I blind copy the friend who sat beside me. I attach the index page from the binder as a PDF. I write 1 sentence in the email. If I need this later, the time sits here. 2:31 p.m. I walk back to the building. I stop at the desk and thank the guard. He nods and says the case ID sits in the log already. He points to a monitor where the system shows an alert next to my unit. He says staff will make rounds in the evening. 2:44 p.m. In the elevator, I check the group chat. Both friends have pinned the case ID and the office number. They set the thread to alerts on high. They change the name of the thread to include my unit and the code word. I feel my chest unlock an inch. 3:03 p.m. I put the binder on my table. I place the thumb drive receipt next to it. I take a photo of both for my own records. I email the photo to myself with the same subject tag as before. I file the binder in a drawer with a label. I do not hide it. I want quick access if needed. 3:17 p.m. I text him one line in our thread. A courtesy message only. I filed a log with building staff about late visits at my door. No drop-ins. No gifts. I include nothing else. I do not invite a reply. I set the thread back to mute. 3:36 p.m. He replies in 7 minutes. He says he understands. He says he respects my steps. He uses my name. He asks for a chance to meet to talk through how to support. I do not answer. This chapter holds no new scene with him. 3:52 p.m. I open my camera app. I set a live photo of my entry as my lock screen. Clear view of the mat and the keypad. Case ID on a sticky on the door frame. A visual cue for me. No posts. 4:09 p.m. I write a list for tomorrow. Groceries. Laundry. A slow run. A call with my mom. A follow-up to ask the office about footage once their system update runs overnight. I set alarms for the call and the follow-up. 4:28 p.m. I sit in the chair and run one more internal check. Binder built. Office visit done. Friends looped to support in stated ways. No public posts about any of this. No education lines here. No final scene today. 5:11 p.m. group chat pings with a new message. Friend A volunteers to walk me from the train on my next late night. Friend B offers to hang for an hour on Wednesday and read while I cook. Both say they will log times for anything odd without comment. I thank them. I state one rule for the thread. Data first. Feelings after. 5:37 p.m. I call the office line to confirm my email on the case. A staffer reads my address back and says the file shows my binder items received. She gives a projected date for the retention check. 2 business days. I write the date down. 6:02 p.m. I tidy the table. I put the pad away. I leave the binder in the drawer and stop touching it. Physical tasks help. I sweep the floor. I wipe the counter. I water the plant once. I eat a simple bowl and wash the dish. 6:41 p.m. The door camera pings once. A courier leaves a package for a neighbor. I log nothing. I let the clip pass. I keep my breath slow. 7:14 p.m. He posts a story with a photo of a calm room. A chair by a window. A plant on a sill. He writes a line about learning to give space. He tags no one. He sends me a copy with a heart. I do not answer. I note the time on a sticky and place it on the pad. It belongs with the case if his posts frame the talk. I do not print tonight. 8:03 p.m. I sit on the floor with my back to the couch. I listen to the building. Water in pipes. Steps above. A laugh in the hall far away. Phone dark. Lights low. 8:29 p.m. My friend texts a simple line. Proud of you for keeping it plain. She adds, food at mine on Thursday if you want quiet company. I send a heart and a yes. 9:11 p.m. I check locks. I check the chain. I place the phone face down on the table. I leave the blinds closed. I keep the room simple. 9:37 p.m. I think about what this chapter needed and what it did not need. No lessons. No long talks. No exits. Only paper, dates, a room with a table, a staffer with a form, and friends who hold a thread. 10:02 p.m. I lie down. I breathe steady. I speak no lines into the dark. I let the day file itself in my mind next to the binder in the drawer. 7:58 a.m. I hold a card with 12 words. I read them once. I text the same line and place the card in a drawer. No contact for 7 days. I alone choose if we resume later. 8:03 a.m. read receipt appears. No reply. I turn the thread to mute. I set the phone face down. 8:17 a.m. email from the office lands. Case ID confirmed. Hall footage holds through Friday. Courtesy rounds start tonight. I file the message in a folder with the binder name. 9:02 a.m. work. Coffee. Calls. Phone in a drawer. My shoulders rest where they should. Breath low and even. 11:31 a.m. First test. A text from an unknown number. A photo of a river bench. The caption reads, think of your spot. I take a screenshot and forward it to the thread with friends. We add the time to the list. I block the number. 1:12 p.m. He tries another route. A message shows up in my email from a new address with his name in the body. He writes 3 lines about growth and respect. He asks for a single check mark back. I file it under the case folder and set a filter. Future messages go to archive with the tag. 4:06 p.m. The building desk calls to ask about a delivery note on file. I approve the flag that stops couriers from stacking items at my door. I thank them by name. I write the time in my notebook. 6:22 p.m. door camera ping. A neighbor drops a package on her own mat and waves toward mine by mistake. No problem. I log nothing. I eat a simple bowl and read. 9:41 p.m. A knock comes soft and slow. 3 beats with long gaps. I check the camera feed. A woman from upstairs stands in frame with a flyer for a community event. No link to him. I open the door a crack and take the flyer. I thank her. I breathe out and let the quiet return. Day 2. 7:11 a.m. I run a short loop. I switch routes, so I join the path later. I keep my phone on airplane mode. I pass 2 dogs and a man who skates slow with headphones. No familiar faces. I feel light. 10:09 a.m. My friend with the quick read calls. We run our script. 3 items. 1 odd event. 1 boundary held. 1 plan for the week. I state each in 1 sentence. She repeats them back. We hang up. 12:37 p.m. He tries a 3rd path. A neighbor knocks to return a misdelivered envelope slipped under her door. No stamp. My name on the front in his hand. I thank her and say I did not ask for it. She nods. I open it inside. A list of promises, with boxes to tick. I slide the paper into the binder. I add a flag and write the time. 2:04 p.m. I change my door code. I enter the new numbers twice. I place a new sticky with the case ID on the frame. I stand still and breathe. 4:19 p.m. text from the office. Courtesy round complete on my floor. No issues. They will repeat at 10. I reply with thanks. 6:05 p.m. A friend meets me at the train. We walk to my building and talk about her week. We do not talk about him. We reach the lobby. The guard nods. We ride up. No one in the hall. She hugs me and leaves. Night passes without pings. Day 3. 8:03 a.m. I sit at the table with the notebook. I add a small rule. Any workday visit without a plan makes a call to the desk. No exceptions. I write it on a card and tape it inside a cabinet. 10:52 a.m. A group thread message arrives from a person in his circle. The question reads, "Are you too good?" I reply with 1 line. Direct any questions to him. I block the number and file a screenshot in the folder. 12:09 p.m. He posts a story with a light quote about patience on a black frame. No name. No tag. I take a screenshot and file it. I do not watch any other frames. 3:41 p.m. office email. Footage retention extended by a week. Case updated. I save the PDF to the folder. I add the time to the index page in the binder. 5:17 p.m. A small envelope sits on my mat when I get home. The camera shows a courier delivered it. The label shows a return address with a unit in the twin. Inside sits a gift card with no brand and no name. I slip it into the binder. I forward the still to the office and ask them to note, no gifts slid under doors. 7:02 p.m. I text my 2 friends. I write dinner at mine 8. They arrive on time with bread and a small salad. We eat. We play a low album. We keep our phones in a bowl by the door. We log nothing. We laugh once hard. The laugh rings clean. Day 4. 9:18 a.m. A long email from him lands. Same subject line. New address. He writes about silence as punishment. He writes about how good pairs stay in touch. He uses phrases from my past captions. I forward the message to the case folder and add 1 note. Pattern of new addresses. No reply. 11:33 a.m. The desk calls. A person asked for my floor at the front door without a name. Security did not allow entry. They logged the time and refused the ask. My chest warms with relief. I thank them. I write the time. 2:44 p.m. I stand in the laundry room with a book. 2 machines hum. A woman I do not know enters with a basket. She asks if my unit sits across from the courtyard. I say yes. She hands me a folded note she found on the floor near the mailboxes. My name appears on the front. I take it and say thank you. Inside sits a short line in his hand. 7 days break hearts. I drop it into the trash in front of her and say wrong box. She nods and smiles, then loads her wash. 5:26 p.m. I attend a small class in the building common room. 10 neighbors sit around a table while someone teaches a simple skill. Fresh faces. Light talk. I introduce myself with first name only. I do not stay long after. I wave goodbye and leave through a side door. 9:12 p.m. Friend calls. We set a checkpoint for Saturday morning. She will ring me at 9 from the cafe nearby. If I do not pick up, she calls the desk with the case ID. Both of us repeat the plan. Day 5. 7:07 a.m. I wake from a deep sleep. No pings overnight. I cook breakfast. I water the plant. I fold laundry. I read in the chair. A slow morning. 12:51 p.m. A text from a long number arrives. It carries a photo of a table in a restaurant with 2 plates. The caption reads, "A seat waits." The plate shape matches a place on Birch. He knows my taste for the corner table. I do not go. I file it. I lock the thread. 3:22 p.m. Office calls. They ask for a time window to pull clips from last week. I give exact hours. They say they will add stills to the case and send a receipt once done. I thank them. 6:38 p.m. I walk past the twin entry. He stands inside the glass on his phone. He sees me and lifts a hand. I lower my eyes and keep moving. He stays inside. He does not step out. 8:41 p.m. My phone buzzes. Short line from him. I will wait for you to reach out. It lands clean. I let it sit. Day 6. 9 a.m. My friend calls on time from the cafe. I answer on the first ring. We both smile into the line. We hang up. 11:14 a.m. I sit with a neighbor in the courtyard and drink water. She tells a story about her kid's school project. I listen and nod. I do not talk about my case. We watch a dog play fetch. The dog misses twice and then nails it. We clap once each and grin. 1:26 p.m. A message arrives from him with a short line. No gift drops. No knocks. Respect sits first. He adds my name. I file it and return to my book. 4:03 p.m. He tries one more pull. A message rides in from a friend of his through a group chat I forgot. The friend writes about an art opening we plan to attend. I leave the chat. 7:55 p.m. I cook pasta, eat, wash the pan, and wipe the counter. I lock the door and set the chain. I place the phone face down. I sit in the chair until the room feels like mine again. Day 7. 8:06 a.m. I wake with light in the room and peace in my chest. I brew coffee. I watch steam rise. I stand by the window and look out. A runner passes. A couple carries a paper bag. A bike rolls along the curb. 9:14 a.m. Email from the office with a short line. Stills saved. Case updated. I print the message and slide it under the door tab. I feel the binder's weight and then forget it until needed. 11:03 a.m. I take a short walk with a small list in my pocket. Eggs. Cilantro. Soap. I buy each and head home. He does not appear. My shoulders stay low. 1:27 p.m. I pull the card with the 12 words from the drawer. I place it on the table. I read the line again. I feel each word land. I slide the card back. 3:18 p.m. A message from him arrives. No push. No future talk. He writes one line and stops. I will wait for your decision. I let it sit unattended. Silence is a decision too. I keep my week clean. 6:41 p.m. I call my friend. I tell her I held the line each day. She says good. She asks if I slept. I say yes. She says to eat. I say I ate. 8:12 p.m. I write 3 facts on 1 page. No late pings after round 2. No drop-ins after the desk call. New addresses arrived and were blocked. I add the dates. I fold the page and place it with the binder. 9:03 p.m. I stand at the door and touch the new code pad. My hand stays steady. I check both locks. I set the wedge. I breathe. 9:37 p.m. I sit in the chair and open the window 2 inches. Night air slides in. A car passes slow. A person laughs on the sidewalk and keeps walking. I feel my name sit back where it belongs.